Our first jump event here at the Under-21 World Championships 2019, beautiful Shalom Park. First jumper on the water representing Germany, Carlotta Bonneman. Jump number one. As you look across the lake, you will see the screen displaying scores. Trust that screen more than you trust me, but 35.6 meter jump number one. 35.6 meters. So the name of the game in jumping, person who lands the farthest from that ramp is the winner. So you see right now, Carlotta waiting outside that towboat, making her turn into the ramp, accelerating off the top of the ramp, kicking off that ramp. Ramp sitting 5 feet tall from the top of that ramp down to the surface. Boat speed 53 kilometers an hour, 33 miles an hour. These skiers accelerate speeds 70, 80 kilometers an hour into the bottom of the ramp, only a split second of time. Try and straighten their legs, get all of the lift that they can in the equation in jump. Speed plus height. Then it's all about getting over the tips of those skis, getting your body into that airplane position, milking out all the flight you can, and landing as far down the lake as possible. 37.8 meter jump number two. It's 124 feet. For those out there who that's more relevant to. 37.8 meters, 124 feet. I'm doing all of these conversions in my head, so bear with me. But out wide for what's called the double weight cut, so pulling out first to the left of the towboat, making her turn approximately 600 feet away from the ramp, gliding out to the right-hand side of the towboat, making that final turn into the ramp, accelerating, slingshotting into the bottom, getting out over those tips, milking every bit she can. 3 successful jumps for Carlotta Bonneman. Our first jumper here at the 2019 Under-21 World Waterski Championships. So 35.7, so it does look like jump number two will be the farthest of the set. 37.8 meters, 123 feet. So next skier on the water, representing Canada, Rebecca Ramsey. So she's going to need to challenge that 37.8 meter jump we just saw from Carlotta Bonneman. But Canada's own Rebecca Ramsey on the water. Canada's coach Cole Grant down on the shore watching on, looking to give her some advice between jumps. Often you'll see the athletes looking to shore to their coach in between jumps, looking to make adjustments on timing, body position, things like that. It is the farthest of the 3 jumps that count, so each jumper does get 3 attempts at the ramp. Only their farthest one counts. So traditionally in the jump event, first jump used as a bit of a warm-up, get to feel the conditions, go out a little bit easier, get a feel of how things are feeling, and then from there trying to push it on jump number 2 and jump number 3. Jump number 2 traditionally being sort of a more aggressive cut, but still a little bit conservative, making sure you can get all of your lift and kick, and then traditionally the last jump where things are all left on the line and jumpers push it. So Rebecca, seeing what she can do, electing for a 3/4 weight cut, so just pulling out to the right-hand side of the boat, making her turn, driving into the bottom of the ramp, looking for all of her lift. And a great opening jump for Rebecca Ramsey. Her first of 3 here at the Under-21 World Waterski Championships. .28.3 meter opening jump. 28.3 meters. Otherwise known as 92 feet. So as Rebecca looks over to Cole Grant, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Cole. Look to tell her to get a little bit wider. Got distracted after that. I didn't see what else you said, but she's going to try and get a little wider on that towboat, and what that's going to do for the people at home is the wider you can get up on that towboat, after she makes that turn, all that time into the ramp is time spent accelerating. So if she can get out of that towboat a little bit wider, it's going to give her more time once she makes that turn to accelerate into the ramp and ultimately hit the ramp with more speed. And one of the most important things in the jump event is the speed. So the faster you go into the bottom of the ramp, the longer your momentum is going to carry you through the air. So there's a few other things at play: the load on the rope, your body position, how much kick you have. All of those play into factor. But right now, Rebecca's going to look to do is to get a little bit wider up on that towboat, carry a bit more speed into the bottom of that ramp. See if she can get up over that 30-meter mark. 28.3 meter jump number 1. She has more speed on this jump. Can she get the lift? I think she does. I think that might be a little bit farther. Still early in the day, though. I'm not quite dialed in. 28.3, jump number 1. Looking on that scoreboard, 29.6 meters. So right around that 30-meter mark. 97 feet for Rebecca Ramsey. She's got one more jump left. So as we said, first jump, little bit of a conservative approach, getting out there, getting a feel of the conditions, and she pushed it a little bit more there on jump number 2. Was able to edge out a bit more distance, just 3 feet shy of that 100-foot mark. Every jumper can remember that first jump over 100 feet. Tournament personal best for her, 34.2 meters. So she's got more left in the tank. Says here, first competition was in 2017, so in just a few short years, all the way here on the world stage. Jump number 3, she's got more speed on that one. That's going to be her farthest of the set. Great consistent jumping for her. Great opportunity for her to get to come out here, represent her country. Great stuff from her. 32.8 meter jump number 3. Definitely her farthest of the set. A lot closer to that personal best mark. 107 feet. Jump number 3. That will be her farthest of the set. And as we said, the farthest of the set is the one that counts. So it does appear that Team Canada has heard my displeasure with their team spirit and are decorating a tent down there. Kudos to you guys. Still in second place to the United States, in my opinion. Big shout out to them. Huge show of support here. If anyone is used to coming to the Canadian Open, I'm obviously missing the Team Spirit Award, so I'm going to try and get that going a little bit here. Bit of rivalry between countries, and we continue to move on in our jump events. Kim Helen Niederbaumer from Germany, our third jumper of the day. In fact, our third jumper of the tournament. She's going to be looking to chase down our current leader, Carlotta Bonneman, 37.8 meters. Following her, we had Canada's own Rebecca Ramsey, 32.8 meter. Lots of speed there right off the gate from the 20-year-old from Germany. .35 meters does move her into second place behind Carlotta Bonneman. 35.1 meters. 115 feet, 35.1 meters, 115-foot opening jump. So already jump number 1. Just a little bit over 2 meters behind our current leader, Carlotta Bonneman. A little bit farther on that one. 35.4 meters, 116 feet, jump number 2. Still not quite enough to put her ahead of Carlotta Bonneman, our current leader. First skier off the dock, 37.8 meters. Really put a big jump out there, first skier off the dock. And a great third jump. That looks to be the farthest of the set. She got quite a bit more lift on that one. Now, if I was wrong, I did have to shift my vantage point, but I am not. 36.5 meters. That is her farthest of the set. Not quite enough to take on Carlotta Bonneman. You can see here on the slow motion replay, she got quite a bit more lift there, was able to straighten her legs. Still a bit on the heels coming off the ramp, not able to get all that height, but still an impressive 36.5 meter effort. And that'll be the one that counts.
Be joining you again up here in the commentary box, and what a fantastic vantage point we have of this beautiful jump ramp. About 5 stories elevation here at the top of the deck, and shaping up to be a good women's elimination round. We're going to cut the field of 24 down to 12, so we're going to cut her in half. And I'm hesitant to put down numbers here on the cut because we have such a great track record of Stevie, but traditionally the cut, I believe, for the women's is a shade over 40 meters.
I was thinking the same thing. Right in that 40 meters, maybe 40 meters and a half, right in that area. But again, conditions here absolutely ideal. And of all the big scores we've seen at Shalom Park, I think the event that is the best here is the jump event. So there is potential for that cut to be a little bit higher, but again, I think it's going to be right around that 40. You know, a big cut would be a 42-meter jump.
No, I completely agree.
So coming out next, Greta Tagliati representing Italy. So far in this event, Germany, Canada, Germany, now Italy.
Yeah, no, we're in for a lot of jump action. Of course, women's jump, all the women will jump today, and then, of course, tomorrow morning we kick things off with the men's jump elimination round, which I think is going to be an absolute cracker. Greta Tagliati of Italy, 18 years old. We saw her earlier today in the trick event, and looking to make her mark on this jump field as well. Just a 3/4 cut from the young lady. And looks like a solid opening approach. Comes off the ramp well. Again, that's in that sort of mid 30 meters range from Greta, but I think she's got plenty left there in the tank. Splash eye comes through, just actually a little bit less than I thought, 30.2 meters. But a good settler for Greta. So a personal best just a shade under 40. So if she can get right up around that score today, she'll be a chance at making the final. Strong 3-event skier. So she's going to look to take things a little bit later, I think, on jump number 2. First one was a good settler, but about 9 meters back off her personal best. So I think it's her eye a little bit more on timing. We'll see her increase that distance. This is late already here from Greta. Actually, I think what might have happened there is she started a little too hard. Ended up at the ramp too early in the end.
Yeah, jumping an event so focused around timing. It's all about your timing, and when we mention a skier bringing it down the lake or waiting later, it just means waiting longer to the closer to the bottom of the ramp to turn. And the longer you wait to do that, the shorter of a distance you have to travel in the same, or the longer, the distance you have to travel in the same amount of time. And physics dictate that means you're going to have to get there quicker. So the longer those skiers wait, the faster they're going to hit the ramp. But the faster they hit the ramp, obviously the element of danger comes in. So skiers traditionally looking to aim about a foot or two away from that bottom right-hand corner of the ramp and drive all the way to that top right-hand corner. Sort of that ideal timing. But again, sometimes what can happen is you can bring it down the lake to wait a little bit longer, panic, turn a little bit harder, and end up pulling yourself early. And I think that's what we saw there.
No, I dead on. Hit the nail on the head. Interesting, my understanding is, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, but we have set the ramp here to the new ramp settings. Of course,
yes.
There was a rule change in about February this year that lengthened the tolerance on how long a ramp could be, and with the ratio, therefore also lengthened the height that ramps could be. And this tournament will be run at the new settings. It's kind of been we're in a kind of a weird limbo phase, I think, right now, where a lot of different sites, different tournaments are going to use different settings. Although I will say, my limited feeling so far from chopping and changing, it actually isn't that hard to adjust.
No, it's a very small difference, and I think the spirit behind the change was just for the safety of the athletes. When you have that longer ramp, you're spending a little bit more time on it. You're decreasing that angle and sort of the pressures that jumpers put on their body. Out of the three events, jumping definitely the one where the element of danger is most increased. As you do add that obstacle in there, Big Red.
Yeah, so that'll be her biggest jump of the set, I think. That's a little bit further there from Greta, but I think she's going to be a little bit disappointed. Seems like she struggled to find her timing out there. Was a little bit early even there. So 32.7 meters, and that's a long way back off what she's capable of.
Yeah, lists here a personal best 39.4 meters, so not quite reaching that today. And our current leader still sitting, Carlotta Bonneman, first off the dock, 37.8 meters. A really great opening effort for her.
Yeah, very much so. Well, I would think that if I were down there on the banks of the lake watching this would be a great time to move to the beer garden, not just because they are serving beer, but also because it's probably the prime position. Always, if I get a choice of where to set up, it's directly in line with the ramp. It gives you the best view of the turn and the cut, as well as them coming off the top.
Absolutely, and to watch this jump event, heading into the beer gardens and spending the whole jump event sort of sitting from that vantage point, what's really neat is you start to get a sense of the distances, and you can play a little game with your friends where you try and guess along, see how far it is, was that for one further or not, and that's obviously the best vantage point to do it. We have a bit of advantage being this high up in the air, so a little bit easier for us, but head on to the beer gardens, grab a beer. Best view in the house. Places with friends.
Yeah. It's always great times trying to pick the distance.
Well, good time if you're good at guessing.
Well, yeah, I've yet to get my eye in. I'm not sure that I'm ever good, but right now I've really got no idea. But it sounds like you're starting to just get calibrated a little bit. But is Steve and I going?
Yeah, I had to move my chair a little bit, so I'm off. But give me another jumper or two. We'll be honing in.
We'll be back in. It's amazing how good, if you sit there and watch, in the same spot for long enough, how accurate you start to get.
Absolutely. And at some point in this tournament, I will get the distances of those distance buoys that we see out there. So as we look on the landing surface, we have an orange buoy, a yellow buoy, and a green buoy. Each of those buoys will be measured a certain distance from the ramp, and those are really good references for people as you go out there, just to gauge how far they are. I believe that yellow buoy, from the looks of it, looks right around 50 meters.
Yeah.
So anybody who's landing
back
sort of right around that buoy, about the 50-meter mark. As we go right now, just flying over that orange buoy, so whatever the distance is, probably a meter or two back from that will be our orange marker.
Yeah.
30.5 meters, so probably around about 28 meters. That orange buoy, next one after it about 50. And that green one a whole long way down the lake.
Young Peruvian Andrea Tejada on the water. see there the Peruvian team coach Jimmy Seamers on the far side of the lake. He's just given some pointers.
As we mentioned earlier, Jimmy's still the holder of the under 21 men's jump record at 69 meters.
Yeah, that's a whopper of a jump. And that's one of those records that could hold for some time.
Yeah, we've seen the likes of some of the most talented jumpers come up. The Zach Wardens, the Taylor Garcias come to mind, and none of them able to take that record down. And just showing how impressive that is. Taylor, one of the most talented jumpers in the world right now, and was while competing in the under 21 ranks, and that record was a little elusive, wasn't able to take it down, and it's no commentary on Taylor's talent, more so just how dominant and good Jimmy Seamers was.
I suspect that Jimmy was the youngest person to ever jump 70 meters or 230 feet. I don't know of anyone younger that's done that. A little bit further there on jump number 2 for Andrea.
Definitely a little bit more carry. She comes off the ramp there. Still a little bit on her heels. What you're looking for is the jumpers to be right over top of those skis. So as they straighten their legs, you're going to notice they go straight up in the air. Skis roughly at about a 45-degree angle on the way up is what they're looking for. And you can see those skis slipping up a little bit up into her face. Not quite as aerodynamic and costing her a little bit of distance there, but still 32.6 meters. A great jump for her, but she's going to look to Jimmy to make some adjustments.
Yeah, and that's kind of exactly what you were talking about there with the skis coming to your face is what Jimmy is just talking about there, focusing on getting over those skis. So a fun fact, and again, challenge me on this if I'm wrong, but I am pretty confident that Jimmy Seamers holds the distinction of being the only man to have both jumped 70 meters and tricked over 12,000 points.
Yeah, I think for sure. I can't think of anybody else.
The only person that'd be close to that is Jarrett Llewellyn, but I think his trick may be a little bit shy of 12.
Yeah, Jimmy was such a dominant overall skier, and back in 2003 at that first Under 21 World Championships where he did set that 69-meter jump record, also still has the overall record as well. As you mentioned, a super talented trick skier, one of only few to go over 12,000, and to be in both the 12,000 point club and tricking as well as the 70-meter club and jumping is very prestigious. Very prestigious club. And as you mentioned, probably the only guy in the world to have done that.
Yeah.
It would almost be the equivalent of an overall skier getting into 10.75.
I think 10.25 is probably the mark you give at that point. Third and final there from Andrea. Similar sort of distance. No, I think there's 3 exclusive clubs at the top end of water skiing. There's people who have jumped 70 meters or 230 feet for our American cousins. There's 12,000 points, which is probably the most exclusive. There's only about 4 or 5 of those. And there's people that have run 10.25. And there's about 10 people that have jumped 70 and about 11 or 12 people that have run 10.25. And I think there's still only about 5 people that have tricked over 12.
Yeah, very, very, very exclusive club, and just showing how impressive that score of Pato Font, just 16 years of age, just 500 points away. Just unbelievable. I think eventually he'll be adding his name to that list in the near future.
Yeah, it's a big mountain to climb, though, like we talked about a lot in tricks. That extra, at that point, adding 10 points is huge.
And it was neat talking today to Sergio Font just about Pato's run and some of the strategies of what they'd worked on. We'd seen Neely Ross throw a really big run over the 10,000 point value with that Mobe as her last trick. And what Pato has been trying to do is link some runs together where if time does come into play, it's a wake back to back or a wake back or a much lower point trick that costs him. And that's really led to some huge consistent scores out of him. So. But we keep moving on with the jump event. So moving on to Colombia, Luisa Jaramillo. So 4 of them competing here.
That her sisters.
I said.
Yeah, we're going to give Stevie a little Spanish language pronunciation lesson here. Steve Garcia, of course, a loyal Mexican. He's going to give us some pointers here on how to pronounce that. But there's 2 things. It's a really tough name for an English speaker like you and I because there's 2 things going on. The J, of course, in Spanish is an H sound, and whenever you have a double L, it's silent.
That's the first grammar lesson I think I've ever
There you
gotten
go.
in Spanish.
So, yeah, I took Spanish for a year and a half, and that's about as much as I got. So the last name is, in fact, pronounced Jaramillo, which makes, to an English speaker like you and I, about as much sense as a nun at a rock concert. But we'll move on anyway. Louisa. And she's been fantastic in, I believe, both the slalom and the trick finals so far. Having a great tournament. This is the young lady, just 16 years of age. Tidy opening jump. It's going to be about 27, 28 meters, I would think.
Yeah, right around that mark. Maybe a little bit less, 27, 26. 23.4 meters, so we're not quite dialed in. We'll get there. I do believe that orange buoy there probably right around 28 meters now that I see that distance. And if we look at conditions, we've sort of talked, we haven't really had much of a wind all weekend. And as we move into the jump event, we've had that breath of a headwind sort of pick up right now. And as we look at those flags across the lake, blowing right into the skier's face, conditions completely ideal now for jumping. So 3 events in, we've had 3 completely different weathers, all perfectly suited for the event.
Yeah. Look, I always laugh because I think typically when you have a jump coach that maybe, is your dad or something, doesn't know a lot about jumping, they're always just telling you to cut later, waving the big, cut later, especially with a daughter. But it's funny, we've got the great Corey Picos down there giving some jump coaching, and on that jump, there really was only one thing to say, and that was to cut much later. Because she's certainly capable of going much further, but in that situation, just a little bit early, finding herself a little early to the ramp.
Yeah, I always would wonder on shore when you look and you see your coach telling you to bring it down. I wonder if they appreciated how difficult that can be and how scary that can be when you're standing out there looking at the red ramp saying, I need to turn now.
Yeah.
Pulling out approximately 500 feet away from the bottom of that ramp. She's definitely later on this one. A slight snowplow in her turn to bleed some speed. A much better jump.
Yeah, interesting to note, I would say, Louisa is jumping at 51 Ks.
Yes.
Still in the junior ranks, and she won't have put the boat speed up to 54 yet. We'll see the later on skiers at 54K, which is a slight advantage.
Yeah, obviously 54K being the maximum boat speed in this division, 33 miles an hour. But the jumpers do have an option to select a speed slower than that. And our junior skiers do ski at 51 kilometers an hour or 31 miles an hour. So that is an option for them. Obviously, the faster the boat goes, the bigger the distance is. But most of our junior skiers you'll see go out still skiing at that 51 kilometer an hour.
Yeah. Well, it's quite difficult to chop and change, so it doesn't really make sense to go up just for these tournaments when they still have some big events left in the junior ranks. Third and final now for Louisa Jaramillo. And can we see her just get a little bit further? Another good jump. That will be the biggest of the set, I think. That's going to be 26, 27.
Right in that 26, 27 meter range, right around that orange buoy. So that's kind of how you'll be able to tell as the day goes. People start to land, you kind of get zoned in, and 25.8 meters.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it won't be 3 finals for Louisa, but she's done very well in both slalom and trick, and look forward to seeing her later on the tournament in those events.
And absolutely, and being one of the younger skiers, jumping being the event sort of requires the most amount of strength and athleticism, and obviously the younger skiers still going at the slower speed. So jump out of all 3 events, probably the one that's the most difficult for these younger athletes who have stepped up in competition.
Yeah, and I think it's the least important at a young age. I think it's an event you can progress very quickly in if you have a solid foundation of balance. I always heard a story growing up, and he could probably confirm whether this is true or not, but I was told as a child that Jarrett Llewellyn didn't live within 8 hours drive of a jump ramp until he was about 16 years old.
And we talked about
that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about, well, his base coming from the trick skiing background and building that fundamental structure with tricking, and not necessarily having a direct correlation with jumping, but Jared always crediting skiing in all three events to his jumping ability.
And also, having done a bit of driving through Canada, I now believe that something could be 8 hours away quite easily, and that would you consider just down the road.
So from Colombia to Chile, Agustina Varas is our next jumper on the water. Current leader still Carlotta Bonneman, 37.8 meters. Behind her, Kim Helen Niederbaumer, 36.5 meters. Canada's Rebecca Ramsey, 32.8 meters, sitting in third. Greta Tagliati, 32.7 meters. Andrea Treja.
Tejada?
Am I learning?
No, I don't think so.
Spanish is hard. I need to stick to Ukrainian.
Yeah. Well, you could maybe teach me a thing or two about French pronunciation, mate, being from Canada. I'm sure you're very fluent in your French.
Practically bilingual.
Yeah, practically bilingual. Agustina Varas, and if Chile is known for producing one thing, it's great jumpers. Really strong in the jump department. And this is looking great. Good approach here from Agustina on jump number one. Plenty of speed. And that's a good jump. Good jump to open.
Yeah, great opening jump. Really excellent technique from her. You could tell she got way wide up on the boat. Very little movement going across the wakes. Was in a really strong position. I suspect she was probably a little bit early if I look at where she hit the ramp. But we'll look down to brother Santiago Varas, coach down on shore.
Yeah, it's funny. She was early, but compared to the skiers before, she didn't look so early on the turn. She just got so much more angle in that double cut, got the skis around a little more, and ended up a little early to the ramp in the end.
So, looking out at what she was told there, she does need to bring it a little bit further down the lake, so wait a little bit longer, and to stay a little bit more over her skis as she was gliding beside the boat. You could tell there she was trying to lean away from the boat there, bleeding some of that speed. So, brother trying to tell her, carry a bit more speed. Obviously, the faster speed you start from, the faster the speed you're going to end up at. So trying to get her to carry a bit more speed through that turn, bring it a bit further down the lake, and that's going to translate into a bigger distance.
Just two skiers left after Augustina in the Series 1, and then we'll move into Series 2, but a big Series 2, 15 skiers in it, so it'll be some time now before we can start confirming what the cut will be. Augustina, jump number 2. Can she bring it down the lake just a little bit more? This looks, I think, a better approach from the young lady from Chile. And correspondingly, a much better jump.
And you could see there when she was driving into the bottom of the ramp, she really had to work to get onto that ramp. You saw that hardest pull right onto the bottom of the ramp. She hit about a foot or two off that right-hand corner, sort of perfect timing there. And you can see what that timing does. 37.3 meter jump. Just puts her behind Carlotta Bonneman, but a really great adjustment she made there. You can really see the difference that the small adjustments can make in the jump event, and the importance of having that coach down there on shore.
It's somewhat unique, the jump event, and the fact you have so much time in between, jumps to analyze and reflect, and you can have that coaching input. Of course, in slalom, there's really no opportunity for that. It would be quite difficult. You have such a short time. You're at different ends of the lake. Tricks, I guess, there's certainly some feedback from the boat, but it's not the same thing. In jump, it's repetitive, and in tricks, you go from one pass to a very different pass. But jump, you really are able to have a conversation with the coach, and through hand signals at least, and really reflect on what you need to improve upon.
And jump a little bit different than the other events as well, that you get 3 attempts. So it's your best of 3. We saw in the tricking event it can be over in an instant.
Sure.
The jump event, things go wrong on the first one. You need to pass. You still have 3 attempts to get one right. So it does take the pressure off a little bit, but definitely not the event with the least amount of pressure, as the element of danger obviously the highest, and the speeds in the ramps. So
yeah, but it is the event that goes to seeding most often. You don't see quite as many upsets in the jump event. This looks perhaps even later here from Augustina. She's got a good deal of speed. Comes off it well yet again, and I think that's going to be the biggest jump of the set.
Absolutely, and I think that's going to challenge Carlotta Bonneman's 37.8 meter jump. This time will tell, but she was able to make those adjustments each time. You could see she was a little bit later on that one. Had her arms a little bit more relaxed. Sometimes a jumper can stay tense when they're late like that, lose a bit of their speed. 37.4 meters. Oof. So just shy. Puts her into second place, but 37.4 meters. Augustina Varas. So for those of you following along in the United States of America, 122 feet, 37.4 meters.
There we go.
And that leaves just 2 jumpers left in this division. And our next jumper, Alaya Yoon Hanifa.
Yeah, who we've known for many years, the trick skier. Because like I said, at just 9 years of age, competing at those 2012 Junior World Championships, and a little bit older now, but now she's a bona fide 3-eventer. And she's someone who, if she can get it all together out there, is an outside chance of making this jump final.
And it's great to see the country of Malaysia represented here at the Under-21 World Championship.
Yeah, of course, they'll be hosting the Open World Champs later on this year. And, Alaya comes from a pretty great, not just water skiing, but sporting background. Now, she's got a couple younger brothers that skiers coming along, and then also some older siblings who were pretty good skiers back in the day, but also her older brother was a Formula 1 driver. So there you go. That's a pretty prestigious group to crack into.
Yeah, that's a very prestigious club.
He was a Formula 1 driver, I think, for a year or two, back a few years ago.
Full of trivia.
Yeah, well, it's a fun fact, and it'd be fun to interview him, actually, and you wonder if, I think top-level jumpers are known for having really good reaction times. It's a story which I forget, that Jarrett could probably inform us, that one time he went and did a reflex test they put Canadian Air Force pilots through, and he had like one of the best scores they'd ever seen. And you wonder if some of the reflexes that Alex Young, her older brother, learnt from water ski jumping, he honed those through jumping, was able to apply that to Formula 1 driving.
After hearing that, maybe some of our elite men jump might be trying their hand out on the racing course. And a great opening jump for her. She got so much lift there. Yeah. Really loaded that line really well into the bottom. Kind of a nice progressive cut, kind of turning nice and easy, driving into the bottom. And really when she hit the ramp, exploding off the top, 34.5 meter opening jump for Alaya Yoon Hanifa. Yep.
Great platform to start from, and really explosive at the top of that ramp.
Yeah, going to need a little bit more speed if she wants to challenge our leaders, but definitely had the height on that one. And jumping is a combination of both. You need that speed, you need to have the load of the rope right into the bottom, and then you need to be in a good enough body position where when you straighten your legs, you move right up over top of those skis up into the air. Sometimes it's easy to have one or two of those things, but it takes all 3 in order to get a far jump.
Definitely. I think some of that tricking coming into play, though, the way she sprung off the top of that ramp, you could see the years of tricking coming in handy there. So, jump number 2 coming up here for young Alaya Yoon. Again, not a super late approach. She's going to have to let that one go in the end.
And obviously with just the farthest of the 3 jumps that count, the skiers do have that option. If the timing's not right, body position's not quite right, you will see them let go of the rope, ski around the ramp. As that element of danger is always there. If your timing's not right in the ramp, if you're too early and you need to let off your cut in order to make it onto the ramp, often that can have catastrophic results. So always a better idea to ski around the ramp, the boat will pick you back up, and you get another attempt.
Beauty of having 3 jumps, of course. And already with a score on the board, a cut like that, it wasn't going to be more than 34.5. And really she's looking for an elusive sort of 38, 39 meter jump.
Yeah, let's hear a personal best, 38.9 meters. So capable of taking the lead here, but going to need to put it all together here on jump number 3. And, you know, despite getting those 3 jumps, it is amazing sometimes how quickly the jump event can go by. You know, all it can take is a slip on jump number 1, maybe a pass on jump number 2. Leave it all up to jump number 3 and your tournament can be over before it even started.
It can, but also the amount of times I've seen someone, you know, pass or slip out on the first couple jumps, on the 3rd jump, back up with a fantastic performance. Sometimes you just need that little bit of pressure to kind of kick you into gear and force you to have that great performance. I guess everyone operates differently under pressure, but I think for a lot of people they thrive on it.
Absolutely. Well, most famously, I think Freddy Krueger, kind of the man who's known for going out and doing it on jump number 1. Just always knows what he needs to do, goes out, jump number 1, bang, gets it done, heads back to the dock.
Look, I've certainly seen the opposite, though. I think Jarrett, many a times, was the sort of guy that did it on jump number 3. 3rd and final now, Elia Jung-Hanifa. This is a better approach. She's got plenty of speed. Not quite the kick of jump number 1, but I think that's going to be her biggest jump of the set, and that could challenge the lead.
.4 meters, so not quite enough to challenge the lead. Will move her into 4th place. So right now our leaderboard after 8 skiers, Carlotta Bonneman, 37.8 meters, still in the lead. Chile's Augustina Varas, 37.4 meters. Germany's Kim Helen Niederbaumer, 36.5 meters, and just a 1/10 of a meter behind her, Elia Jung-Hanifa, 36.4 meters. We are looking for 12 spots into this women's final. 16 skiers still left to go. And the next skier coming off the dock will be representing Canada, Shay O'Brien.
Another one of the individuals, the wild cards that Canada's included in this tournament, and great to see Shay out here opening up her Under-21 Worlds campaign.
Yeah, just a great opportunity for these young Canadian athletes with this wild card to get a chance to come here to compete at the Under-21 World Championships. Get a chance to kind of feel that pressure at a young age. Shayla's here, personal best, 24 meters. So I know she's going to be looking to add to that. She's definitely no stranger to jumping here at Shalom Park, and what better time to do a personal best than here? Conditions are absolutely perfect.
There's a lot of skiing here, I take it.
Yes.
Alberta native.
Well, lists her coach here: Christy Krause, Will Buckler, Bruce Dodd, Brienne Dodd, and Luke Outram. I know both Luke Outram and Christy Krause do coach out of here at Shalom Park, so definitely does majority of her skiing here. I do believe she might even learned how to jump right here on this very jump ramp.
There you go, and very young, just 13 years of age. And so we'll see plenty of her in years to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, so much potential in this young lady, and I think that's part of the reason she's here is that national team program, Steve Bush, Cole Grant, really identifying her as an up-and-coming talent. And when we get those wildcard positions, sort of Shay's that perfect person. They see her future coming up for her and know that an opportunity like this to get a chance to come out here, ski with the world's best, are going to pay huge dividends for her later on.
Yeah, experience is crucial. Jump number 1, the young lady from the local lass. And it's tidy. It's going to be right up around 20 meters.
.26.7 meters, a new personal best according to her profile. So a big personal best there, 26.7 meters for Shea, but she looked like she had much more left in the tank there.
Yeah, exactly. I actually thought that was much smaller just because of the way she came off that ramp. It certainly wasn't the kind of extension I'm sure she's capable of. So if she can keep that, even that same cut, and really come off that ramp, I think a 30-meter jump is possible here.
Absolutely, and that elusive 30 meters, just a little bit farther, you have that 100-foot mark, and I'm sure she's got her eye on that. And I remember trying to battle it out for 100 feet, and remember my first 100-foot jump very well. Unfortunately for me, I was in a very strong battle at the time with the young Whitney McClintock to see who was the first one over 100, and I am not proud to admit I did not win that battle.
Well,
Whitney got the chance to go over 100 before I did, but I did step up and match her, and if she's watching back home, I did beat her by a foot.
Good. I'm glad.
But let's see, can Shea O'Brien, will this Under-21 Worlds be where she remembers her first 100-foot jump?
Well, what a setting to do it in. Here at a site she's very familiar with, in front of the hometown Canadian crowd. Similar approach, she's got a good deal of speed. She comes off this one, I think, just a little bit better, and that's further.
That's definitely further. So already she was in that PB territory. I think that's definitely going to be farther, and I think we're looking pretty close to that 30-meter mark. Probably not quite over it yet, but right knocking on the door, 29 meters.
Woohoo!
Shea O'Brien just crushing it out there. She's got one more jump left, guys. This is her hometown.
5-meter PB.
Let her feel some love. Make some noise. Let's cheer her on. She's got one more meter left for her first 100-foot jump. Shea O'Brien. Just 13 years of age out here. Such a talent. You can really see what Cole Grant and Steve Bush have seen in this young lady.
Yeah, that's amazing. You go to the Under-21 World Champs, you're 13 years of age, and you jump already a 5-meter personal best. It's insane. It's right up there with the sort of 1,000-point PB we saw from Thomas Daigle and the tricks on day one. And young Evan Kraus, of course, a big trick PB as well.
Well, I'm finally hearing some noise coming out of the beer gardens, which must be some beers being drank down there.
Where's the British team? I had faith in Team Britain to be supporting the bar.
Yeah, they came out strong with their spirit, but they seem to have dwindled a little bit.
Of course, they want the beer served warm. Third and final attempt now for young Shea O'Brien. She's a meter away from that huge 30-meter jump. It's another good approach. She's going to have just the same speed. Can she come off it? Well, no, it's not going to be quite as far.
Doesn't quite look enough, but you know what? No, an unbelievable set for her. Basically, we set a 5-meter PB there, 29 meters, super impressive. 13 years of age out here at the Under-21 World Waterski Championship, and huge things to come for that young lady. So that does conclude Ladies Series 2 jump, but we will be moving directly into Ladies Series 1. 15 jumpers here in Series 1. First 5 skiers off the dock electing to jump at the 5-foot ramp height, which means our remaining 9 skiers, we will bump that ramp from 5 to 5.5 feet. To keep things consistent, 1.5 to 1.65 meters. So these first 5 competitors all still jumping on the 1.5 meter ramp. And our remaining 9 skiers will be moving up to the 1.65 meter ramp. So great opportunity to get a look at our beautiful jump boat with that black graphic, teal blue, beautiful nautique towboat. Super powerful boat, and the boat that pulled Ryan Dodd's most recent world record in excess of 253 feet. So we've already seen multiple world records go down behind that boat, and just a great opportunity through these simulation passes just to see that beautiful styling, that flat wake, and to get a listen to that beastly PCM 6.2 liter motor, in excess of 400 horsepower.
Okay, so we're going to crack into the final 15. Of course, we got 5 young ladies more off the 5-foot ramp height. Then we will jack the ramp up for the final 10 to the 5.5-foot ramp. And there's going to be some very exciting jumps still to come. And a couple skiers in this field with personal bests, I believe, in excess of 50 meters.
Yes, absolutely. I know one of the favorites here in this event, Dominique Allard, well in excess of 50 meters, recently broke the Canadian Women's Open jump record.
Wow. First up, though, we'll have 2 Australian sisters. And the first will be the youngest, Sadie Ferguson.
So I get a look out there at that towboat. I do believe that is Ron Moore behind the wheel. Ron, one of our 3 drivers here. So huge shout out and thank you to all our drivers. Ron Moore, Ian Campbell, and Nigel Sparrow. Probably one of the most key officials here on site, and they're in charge of handling that gorgeous nautique towboat, and the athletes have just the utmost confidence in these guys. And I know personally for myself, Ron, driving right now, my favorite jump driver, and in fact pulled a number of my personal best jumps, including my first jump over 200 feet, which was actually here at Shalom Park with Ron behind the wheel. So huge thank you to the drivers. They're a huge part of the skier, and that relationship between driver and skier, so crucial, and these guys just dial it in time and time again. So huge thank you to all the drivers.
Yeah, no. Big thank you to the drivers. Not taking away from them, but I think the drivers get thanked a lot. But let's take a second to thank the scorers, the calculators. Whoever has thanked the calculators?
I do try and go out of my way.
Try? Good, yeah. Because that's a thankless job, isn't it? And they do such a good job. We're getting live scores. People all around the world are tuning in and getting scores, updated to every, few seconds.
Absolutely, yeah. No, all the thankless people. I know we mentioned earlier when Ali Garcia.
Some guy's cleaning the portaloos. We got to thank that guy. That's a thankless job.
But as we look back to the water, Sadie Ferguson, and just with that approach there, I think it's pretty obvious we moved into Series 1 there.
Yeah.
That was a very aggressive approach. She was out wide of that boat. She made a very aggressive turn and had heaps of speed. She did elect to pass on that one. Obviously something wrong with her timing, but you could tell if she hits that ramp, just by where you could tell the speed she took into the ramp and where she was gliding to, that she's going to pretty handily take the lead if she can manage to hit the ramp. 100%,
and I said that earlier, when she was slaloming yesterday and tricking this morning, that if you asked me to pick a junior skier right now that in 5 or 6 years time could be someone to end Jacinta Carroll's dominance in the open jump, Sadie would be the person I put my money on at this point in time. I think she has that drive, she has that determination, and she has just that little bit of X factor, a little bit of mongrel in her that you need really to attack a jump ramp the way that, say, Jacinta does.
Now, there's definitely, I wouldn't want to call them crazy, but there's definitely a personality type that's required to be an elite jumper, and it's a look in the eye you can see of certain people, and just from seeing that approach right there, you can tell that she's got the eye of the tiger, and big things to come from her in the future.
It's funny that though, because I think if you talk to some pro jumpers, that some of them are very, very like laid back, calm people, and I think there's some value in that as well. I mean, kind of when you're out there and when you're turning and you're looking at the ramp and perhaps you're looking a little more white than red, you have to have a pretty relaxed personality to not panic in that situation. So it's a little bit of balance of both. This is jump number 2 here for the young Australian Sadie Ferguson from Roma in Queensland. Can she get a hold of this one? It looks better. Good kick off the top, and we got a new leader.
100%. Confidently sails her into the lead, and really the first jumper who has that speed to get up into the air, and you could see her leaning out over those tips to try and milk all that flight. And once you start getting to those distances in excess of 40 meters, and as you get closer to 50 meters, that float becomes so much more important. And Sadie really the first jumper taking that speed all the way through the ramp up into the air, and 42 meters, so convincingly moves her into the lead. And she's still got quite a bit left there. Don't think she carried all the speed she wanted. Going to look down to Cole Grant for a bit of advice down on shore. And I really see what you're saying now, that this young lady just attacks the ramp and really just explodes off the top of that ramp with that full commitment. You can really see she's just eager to get up over those tips and into the air.
Do you think, like Cole Grant seems to be coaching so many people here, do you think sometimes the skier, he's not even the one spotting for them, and he just like on autopilot starts giving them hand signals? He's just kind of having a nap down there on the bank and he starts waving at them? Yeah. Who knows if Cole Grant's even a coach? He just hangs around Waterski tournaments and gives hand signals.
Who's this bearded guy on shore waving at me?
No, I think Sadie's been training down at Matt Reaney's and doing a lot of skiing with Cole down there.
So she's brought it down here. She went around the 600-foot buoy that time, and anytime you see somebody around that 600-foot buoy, you know they're really going for it.
Third and final now for the young Queenslander. Another good jump. Ooh, could be a fraction further.
So a little bit of disappointment from her. You can tell that wasn't what she wanted. It looked like an excellent jump, but you know that she knew that she had a little bit more left.
Didn't quite get everything out of the ramp there. I don't think it was quite as good as the jump before in terms of ramp work. Perhaps a little more speed because she was later, but her body position wasn't quite as good.
Yeah, perhaps on that one, coming in a little bit early. You saw her on the second side, really starting to drive on the second side, and perhaps ran out of room on that ramp and didn't have the timing to drive all the way through. So still her farthest to the set, 42.3 meters, handily puts her into the lead. But
that'll make the final. I'm pretty confident that 42.3 will be enough. I know we're still 2 skiers away from knowing our cut officially, but
nothing is certain. But I think Sadie's pretty safe. So from one Ferguson to another, Sadie Ferguson to Molly Ferguson.
This is Sadie's older sister, Molly. And Molly, I don't think typically jumps quite as far as Sadie. Probably a little weaker in the jump. But still capable of jumping up around that 40-meter mark and making it through to the final. She's been training down at Coble Ski School in South Carolina, or North Carolina, I forget which Carolina it's in, for the last few weeks. Training with the great April Coble-Ella. And of course, growing up skiing in Queensland, I would say that Queensland, Australia would have one of the better year-round climates, water skiing, of anywhere in the world. I don't think their winters are particularly harsh at all. And of course, summers are beautiful. It's a good opening approach here. A little bit back on the heels off the top, but it's going to put her right up there, you know, in that 2nd through 5th kind of category, in those sort of high to mid-30s. And a tidy place to open from. There you go, 36 metres. Again, the weather tends to change quite quickly here. We've just had, I think, a couple degrees knocked off the temperature and a little bit of drizzle starting to appear.
So Sister Sadie in the lead, 42.3 meters. Behind her, Carlotta Bonneman, 37.8 meters. Augustina Varas, 37.4 meters. Those are our top 3 as we speak. Right now, Molly Ferguson.
A double take there on the pull-out. Cuts down. It's another good approach. She's got plenty of speed, but just missed the kick. I tell you what, had she have got a hold of that one, it would have been over 40 meters.
Yeah, absolutely. Came in with a heaps more speed, but you can see she was just on her heels and not quite in that right body position. And as she started to try and straighten up on the ramp, skis kind of slipped out from underneath her and lost a lot of that distance. But the speed is there, still 33.2 meters, even with that massive slip out. So I think you're right, probably leaving in excess of 7 meters, possibly even on the table there with that slip. So going to be looking to change her body position. Looking to fellow competitor Joel Poland down on shore.
Yeah, well, Joel spent a lot of time, I think, in the last few years coaching at Emma Shear's ski school, or Emma Haberman now, I guess, in the north of Queensland. And I know that Molly and Sadie both have done a lot of skiing there.
Yeah, and Joel definitely one of the favorites in our under-21 men's jump competition. So,
yeah.
Definitely a guy you'd want standing on shore.
On the overall as well, isn't it? It's going to be a tight battle, I think, between him and compatriot Rob Hazelwood. And probably a little bit knocked back after a slalom performance, but still in the mix is Daniela Filchenko.
I think we should each pick a horse in this race. And
pick a horse, throw a loony on the table. Loony or a toonie.
Ooh, toonie could be a little rich for...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on a budget. Third and final now, Molly Ferguson. She's backed it up a touch. Not quite as much speed, but she comes off it better. And it's possible that's a fraction further than jump number 1.
And you can see that combination there. Didn't quite have the speed, but got all the lift. But you need both. And that's sometimes what you'll see from a jumper is they'll have one jump where they have tons of speed, don't quite get the lift. The next one maybe not quite have the speed, but get all of their lift. And it's that combination of both that's so important. And definitely a farther jump, 37 meters. But if she had a hit with that the speed she had on the one before, I think she would have been up in that 34-meter range, or 40-meter range. So 37 meters does put her into 4th place, just ahead of Kim Needlebaumer, who was sitting in 4th with 36.5 meters. So with just 13 jumpers left, one more away before we know the cut. Current leader Sadie Ferguson. Anxiously going to wait to see if she's done enough to punch her ticket to the finals. By our prediction, 42.3 should be safe. But you never know. Conditions out here, a little bit of a drizzle happening, but from a wind standpoint, just still that breath of headwind out there. And a nice calm wind out in the turn, which can also play into a factor. Sometimes if you have that wind blowing in your face, it can be hard to carry all your speed into the turn. And right here with the conditions we have, it still allows our jumpers to carry all that speed into the turn, and they'll still have that added benefit of the lift jumping into the headwind. We move to Alejandra de Osma of Peru.
That was a fantastic Spanish language pronunciation there, Stevie. I think you're really catching on. I'm not sure that I do a very good job, but I think that there was on point.
Well, during our brief breaks, I've downloaded Rosetta Stone, so I'm going to be studying my Spanish.
Oh, it's a useful language, I tell you what, in water skiing. There's a lot of countries around the world with strong water ski programs that are Spanish language. Of course, Spain, and then a lot of South America, and then Central America. Of course, I think it's always a plus to be able to speak one of the Romance languages. Not detracting from German at all. Jump number 1, Alejandra de Osma. That's a good approach. She's got plenty of speed and gets right over the front of those skis. And that's going to be right up around that sort of 37 meters we saw from Molly.
Absolutely. You can see just moving her position slightly coming into the ramp. She had that hard cut. I think she might have been a little bit early and sort of let off that cut as she came into the ramp. So 35.9 meters.
And it's significant because we're one away from naming the cut. But 42 meters from Sadie Ferguson, I think that's going to be in. And that means that, if she can get ahead of the pack and into second, she's a good shot at making the final.
Absolutely.
37.8 in second place right now. Still Carlotta Bonneman, I believe.
Yeah, Carlotta Bonneman, first jumper off the dock, kind of set that mark. And, that 38 meter right around that 40 meter mark.
Okay. Alejandra de Osma, jump number 2. Another strong approach, good deal of speed, and she comes off this one even better, I think. And that should be enough to sneak her into second place.
Yeah, and you could see a little bit more still coming into the ramp there. Really held her body position. And that's one of the keys to jumping, is making sure once you make that turn to the ramp, your body's in such a position that you're going to be able to hold that still position, harness all that power of the boat, and that's what's really going to slingshot you, accelerate you into the ramp. And there you go, 38.9 meters. So that does officially move her into second place, or unofficially move her into second place. She just has one more jump left, and as we said, I think that might be sitting pretty comfy for her, 38.9 meters, right around what we thought it's going to take to make the cut.
I think that there's a good chance that will become the bobble. So I don't know that it'll be enough to get her in, but it certainly puts her in the mix. And breaking free of that pack, we got a log jam between about 36, 37.5 meters is significant here.
Absolutely.
Interesting story about the de Osmas I heard from Jimmy Seamers, who coaches him a lot, which is kind of become like a life goal of mine now. He said he was training down there once while coaching them, and he ripped a Wiley's binding, which obviously happens from time to time. And so he asked, can I get some tools so I can sort of repair it? And said, oh no, like our gardener, we've trained him up, and he does it. And so he handed off his binding, it came back fully repaired. And that, I think, is now my life goal, is to get to a point where I can afford to pay someone to repair my Wiley's binding, because I think a lot of ski dads, particularly on site, will feel my pain, because that's one of the worst jobs there is. Third and final now, Alejandra de Osma of Peru, and another good jump.
Yeah, just your mention of fixing a Wiley wrap, I started sweating.
Yeah, I know, right? You kind of the shakes, some cold shivers. And I think pretty much every ski dad on site is sort of nodding in unison at that statement, because it is, in my opinion, probably one of the worst jobs out there.
There is a video out there somewhere of a 39.7 meters on jump number 3, so going to be her furthest to the set, and like you said, right around that 40 meter mark, likely where she is in the order. She's going to kind of produce that bubble, and I think she's done a very good job, 39.7 meters.
So we can now call our cut. It's the 42.3 was it, from Sadie Ferguson. And to exceed that is to guarantee a spot in the final. That's going to be a tough ask, particularly for our next competitor, as a personal best, I believe, just a shade over 40. So that's why I'm fairly confident Sadie will sneak through. And that cut's going to end up being just a little bit back. Perhaps the 39.7 we saw from Alejandra, perhaps just a little bit over 40 meters.
Yeah, and we look here, these ladies all in Series 1, and Sadie Ferguson going first off the dock, I think more had to do with the fact that she's jumping at the 1.5 meter ramp height,
Sure.
less to do with her actual seating score. I have a feeling, just with that distance, that she's probably exceeded some of the distances of the girls even who are jumping at the 1.65 meter ramp height.
No, I would agree for sure. Sadie, and she's got more left in the tank too, Sadie. She, personal best in the mid-40s. Right, a big moment in the overall battle, and a big moment in the teams as well, as Anna Gay from the US of A takes the water, and jumped probably the weaker of her 3 events, but she has improved significantly in recent years, and her personal best now just a shade over 40 meters, or about 133 feet for our American listeners.
Yeah, and I do believe, and Russell could correct me if I'm wrong, but just with the strength of her slaloming and tricking, I do believe she started jumping a little bit later than she did the other 2 events, just realizing, hey, I'm pretty strong in these 2 events. It won't take me long to pick up jumping, and I'll be a contender in overall. And it certainly didn't. It was just a few years into her jump career, and here we are at the
That's
Under-21
right.
Worlds.
That's what I'm saying. If Neely Ross went out there and plopped, she'd probably get a medal in overall. Just right over.
I'll put that offer out there to Lee and to Drew. I'm willing to take Neely anytime.
Yeah.
So pulling out wide, electing to do a 3/4 cut, meaning just pulling out to the right before making that left-handed turn towards the ramp.
That's a good opening jump.
Excellent opening jump, and you can really see that trick ski in her.
Sure.
Didn't have a ton of speed coming into the ramp, but those legs just super explosive, great plyometrics, got up into the air, and led to a great distance. And great cutting into the bottom, 38 meters already on jump number 1.
How far was that, sorry? Went away. It was up and then it went away. Yeah, it's interesting in terms of jumping, and a lot of people do pick up jumping last of the 3 events. And different people have different opinions on the safety of jumping, and I always find it's good to have some background in some water sports, particularly tricking, before you turn to jump. And we had a sort of a rule in my family: you weren't allowed to jump until you could trick 2,000 points. And spending a lot of time around collegiate skiing recently, I've tried to have the girls be able to trick about 500-600 points before I throw them off the jump ramp. And so I would think that Anna Gay, tricking close to 11,000 points, has probably reached the point where it's probably safe for her to be jumping. And I would think that Neely Ross has probably reached that level of balance on the water as well, where probably wouldn't be the worst idea to throw off for a jump ramp. You think you got to try it at least once?
I think I was taught to jump because they deemed me hopeless at trick skiing.
That's right. I have an uncle actually who, when he was young, he couldn't for the life of him qualify for the New Zealand Nationals in slalom and trick because he was no good. So he took up jumping, and for the first couple of years he went to Nationals only in jump.
So 38.3, so 0.3 of a meter farther than jump number 2, or jump number 1 rather. So 38.3 meters.
Yeah, and I think 39.7 is the mark she's going to look to exceed. I think 42.3 is probably a little out of her ability level. But if she can get ahead of 39.7, she'll become the bobble, and there's a chance that she could sneak in.
So for all the Americans watching back home, cheering on Anna, 125 feet is the equivalent of 38.3 meters. Now, whose feet exactly, I don't know.
We talk about measuring systems. A couple of years ago at the college nationals, I tried to have a compromise so we could all visualize it, and I started measuring jumps in Erica's. And of course, that would be 25 Ericas. Third and final, Anna Gay. Can she make her way into this jump final? It's another good jump.
Tons of speed on that one. That's her farthest of the set, absolutely. And with Anna pushing a jump far down the lake like that, we've talked about that overall. This is her weakest event,
Yeah.
and the closer she can stay to those girls who are competing with her in the overall, the more she's going to run away with it. So eyes on that scoreboard. Can that be close to the 40-meter mark? 41.5 meters.
Wow.
Wow, that will be significant in the overall competition.
That honestly there could be the winning of the overall. 41.5, a very big jump.
136 feet.
There you go. I think that's a personal best too for Anna.
41.5 meters. So absolutely great jumping from her. You could see she sort of got that combination we talked about. She had the speed that she didn't have on the first two jumps and got that kick that she'd gotten on all three, and it translated to a massive jump in 41.5 meters for Anna Gay.
Of course, it does mean that Sadie Ferguson is now through to the jump final, and that 41.5 meter jump is significant because it is the new cut. Exceed that, you are guaranteed through. Less than that, you have a nervous wait.
We talked about those conditions being so good and possibly that cut being in excess of 40 meters. And, right now we're looking at a 41.5 meter cut.
Yeah, and again, jump, obviously less upsets than usual. It's hard to know the seedings exactly, but generally, if you're jumping at the 5.5 foot ramp height, the 1.65, that means you have typically jumped in excess of 40 meters.
Yeah, we talked about Sadie Ferguson being a young lady in this competition. So is Kennedy Hansen on the water right now representing the United States. So Kennedy is going to be our last jumper jumping in the 1.5 meter ramp height. But same as Sadie, this young lady really attacks the jump ramp and is able to I'm not sure if she's jumping at 51K. It would be my guess that still boat speed 51K, ramp height 1.5 meters, but I still expect to see her super competitive and right in the mix with these other girls.
And that's significant. We have both Sadie and Kennedy, and I think probably perhaps even Anna jumping at 51K 5 foot, and eligible to go at both the faster speed and a higher ramp height, but opting to jump at those slower speeds. Kennedy and Sadie because it's on the junior ranch, and I think Anna because she does most of her jumping in recent times at a collegiate level.
Yeah, and making that adjustment super difficult, sort of. There's a reason they picked that 51K for collegiate skiing, and it paid off for Anna, right? She didn't seem to need that extra speed, personal best over 40 meters, and set herself up really, really nicely for overall. But jump number one, Kennedy Hansen of the U.S. She's left this one late. Might have been the latest turn so far. She's got tons of speed. Just coming into the boat a little bit. So you saw she did get quite a bit of float, but as you saw in the air, she sort of banked towards the boat. And typically what that means is the jumpers coming out of their position, coming into the bottom of the ramp and not getting all the benefit of sort of stretching that line out, loading that line and getting that slingshotting effect off the ramp. But still, 39.1 meters with a lot left in the tank there. If she can hold that direction off the ramp and get all of that height, she could challenge our leader.
For sure. I mean, that's a good platform to open from. I think her timing wasn't too bad, but she just needs to work on a few little technical things, and she could go a couple meters further here quite easily.
Yeah. So as you go across that ramp, you really do almost want to hit it and go across on an angle. You want to hit as close to the bottom right-hand corner as possible and come off as close to that top left corner as possible. And you could just see Kennedy coming in, just losing a bit of that angle, not able to carry that direction, and just led to a slightly less distance, but a pretty small adjustment that she needs to make there in order to get a really big jump.
Yeah, and I think one thing about jumping that surprises a lot of people when it's their first time is that you actually speed up on the ramp as opposed to slow down. Of course, in the water you sit quite deep and you have a little more friction, but on the ramp there's less surface area touching it, so you actually speed up on the ramp. And typically you'll see beginner jumpers will have issues slipping backwards because their skis out in front of them. And so the way and the angle you carry the ramp is critical because you actually have the opportunity to gain a lot of speed through the ramp.
Kennedy making that final approach to the ramp. She's got speed on this one as well. Can she get her lift? And just a little bit anxious on the kick. almost known as a pre-kick a little bit, so just trying to get everything out of the ramp and straightening your legs a little bit too soon. You start rolling down the windows a little bit, getting a little over the tips. Not too much drama, but definitely not what she was looking for, and really like to see her going for it like that. She knew she had the speed. She knew that was the cut she wanted. Still 39.8 meters, but if she gets a hold of one of these jumps, we're probably going to see a new leader.
Significant. It puts her into 3rd place, which means even if she doesn't improve, she becomes the cut. Gets her just 10 centimeters ahead of Alejandra Dosma.
Looking down at the great Corey Pico, sort of saying exactly what we've been saying. She needs to carry that direction off the ramp. She had all the speed there, and when she hit the ramp, she just let everything go back into the boat. Her hands and her hips sort of turning into the boat and losing all of that speed, all of that load that she'd earned coming into the ramp. So Corey just telling her, you got to be strong, you got to hold that direction off the ramp, and if she can put that together, she'll be our new leader.
Yeah. No, definitely a couple meters for sure there for the taking for young Kennedy Hansen. And important too because she probably, with Paige Reaney's upset and tricks, is probably the great hope to challenge Anna Gay. And with Anna jumping so well, she really needs to get one up on her in the jump event.
And look how aggressive this approach is, cutting in between the 500 and 600 foot buoy, cutting about 550 feet away from the ramp. She's not messing around, and she's late on jump number 3. Kennedy Hansen going for it, and just a little bit too much there on jump number 3. You could see in that turn she brought it down quite a bit. You got to applaud her effort. She has set herself up pretty nicely, put herself as the cut. But left nothing on the table there, brought it way down on jump number 3, and I think probably made a smart decision in terms of letting that go and skiing around the ramp.
Yeah, many years left in the sport for Kennedy Hansen, just 16 years of age. So Anna Gay will join Sadie Ferguson in that jump final. 10 spots left, and the mark to beat is Kennedy Hansen's 39.8 meter effort.
So we get a chance right now to look out to the jump ramp to our technical controller, Zachary Moore. We talked about those people who are normally locked inside. We don't really see them. Zach, one of those guys, but he has no choice but to come out into the light here when he's adjusting the ramp. So everybody make sure we give a big thank you to Zach. Maybe a small round of applause here for Zach. He's done a great job. It's weeks of effort put ahead of time, and he's usually the first one here every morning, getting everything set up. Last one here to go home every night. So I always feel confident the technical stuff's going to work when Zachary's here.
Yeah, well, I see he's been applying sunscreen for the last 15 minutes for his first chance to get outside all weekend. And just hoping he doesn't get burnt. You know, sometimes even with this cloud cover, those rays can get you, especially when you don't have a high tolerance for sun.
Zach's second job, typically when I'm here in Edmonton, is keeping me reined in on the mic. So no easy task. So that actually might be harder than him being the TC.
Gotta say, still disappointed in the lack of Britons in the beer garden. I really had a lot of faith in Team Great Britain to be supporting the bar sales all weekend. Perhaps they're pacing themselves for a long weekend.
Well, thankfully up here, Jarrett Llewellyn remembered his password, so we're back on the web on worldwaterskiers.com.
I will say it's been fun reading Jarrett's personal text messages all weekend, popping up on the laptop in front of us. Some juicy gossip I've got to share with people later on, I'm sure.
And just remember, you can watch along on the webcast if you're sitting on the bank. You do get the option to see what we see the live replays. So definitely adds to the experience. So as we move into the final rounds and down here, make sure you're on worldwaterskiers.com. Checking out the live webcast. All right, so that boat will go down, do its simulation pass. The ramp has been raised. And
Yeah,
so
look,
it's not just significant in terms of the height of the ramp, but what also changes is the angle of the ramp. So the angle of the ramp becomes steeper, a little bit more aggressive. We talked about that new rule change, adding a bit of length of the ramp. So a 5.5, not quite as aggressive as it used to be, but still quite a bit more aggressive than the 5-foot ramp. And that added angle is usually what adds to the distance, more so than the actual physical height of the ramp itself.
Yes, and hopefully now with the higher ramp we'll see some bigger distances and perhaps even something in excess of 50 meters. I have to give a quick shout out to Team USA, who have finally got an American flag on site. Looks like it's actually a bandana that's been unfurled, but great to see them finally showing some spirit. After a pretty poor showing yesterday on the 4th of July, I have to say.
So as we look at that shot down on the dock, our next jumper getting ready, Emma Brunel of France, will be our first jumper off the 1.65 meter ramp.
And she was the one who almost was a huge underdog dark horse story, making that slalom final. She led all the way back from Series 3 for about 12 skiers, and ended up in that runoff for a chance to make the final. In the end, Anna Gay proved too good for her and the other two girls in that runoff, but has had a good tournament so far, you'd have to say, and jumped the strongest of her 3 events. She's looking to punch her ticket through to this final.
So as we pull up her bio here on worldwaterskiers.com, personal best 47.3 meters. So right off the bat, this young lady has the chance to take the lead. Representing France, she is one of the skiers skiing in all 3 events.
And we see the speed suit. I think the first speed suit we've seen so far this tournament. You'll see a lot of jumpers wear that. It just helps them cut through the breeze a little quicker, a little more aerodynamic.
And you look cool.
And you look cool. And honestly, with the temperature dropping here, you'd probably say just a little bit warmer.
Yeah, speed suit's generally not something you want to put on a hot day in Florida when it's 40 plus degrees, but on a balmy day here in Edmonton, the speed suit could be your friend. As that boat makes its turn down the far end, Emma Brunel, her first of 3 attempts here at the Under-21 Worlds. Looking to punch her ticket into the finals. Personal best, 47.3 meters, so more than capable of taking the lead, ensuring her place in the finals. Let's see what she can do on jump number 1. Turning just in front of that 600-foot buoy down at the end of the lake, waiting to make her final approach to the ramp. Driving through, she's got lots of speed, not quite getting all of her lift, but still you can see with that extra ramp height and missing her lift, still able to send way down the lake, and I'm not sure yet, but that'll be pretty close to
I
to the
suspect
cut.
that's probably going to be just enough to sneak through, and she has plenty left in the tank.
42.5 meters. So already through, and a lot left in the tank. You saw the ramp kind of crushing her there.
Sure.
Not able to straighten her legs, not able to get all of her lift, but had a truckload of speed. So pretty easy adjustment, just normally a body position adjustment, maybe a slight timing adjustment just to fix that position going into the ramp. But she gets her legs underneath her, she's going to be up there in that 47 meter range of her personal best.
Sure, and then probably a chance at a medal here in this event. I think high 40s, probably going to be about what it takes to get on the podium here today. Not today, but on Sunday. And good opportunity here for her to get a feeler for the site and to get a high seeding going through to the final.
Wow, when we look back on the women's jump record was set back in 2011 by none other than Jacinta Carroll, 54.6 meters.
You know what's significant about that record is that wasn't even her last Under-21 Worlds. She skied the next ones at Hancock in 2013.
Wow.
So she did that as a like a 19-year-old.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And she's obviously just dominated women's jumping ever since, and sort of goes out there really just competing against herself most of the time, and is just jumping really against her own world record.
So, jump number 2 here for the French woman, Emma Brunel. Good deal of speed, but slips right out the back, and it's still a long way.
That was a very aggressive jump. You could tell when she turned, she was late. She had carried a ton of speed and rushed the turn a little bit, so I'm not sure she had all her skis come all the way around. You really, even though you're waiting late, you need to allow your skis to come all the way around to get locked into that strong position, and it just looked like Emma was a little bit late, got on it a little bit early, and didn't have the position to get her legs underneath her. Still 40.7 meters with her skis splitting way up in her face, so you can really see that speed that she's got going. So just needs to relax a little, be a little bit more patient, allow the skis to come around.
Yeah, in Lehman's turn, she had a real poke.
Absolutely.
A young lady from Bordeaux in France.
And it sounds so easy when I say, you need to be a little bit more patient in that turn, but when you're looking at the 45-degree white side of that jump ramp and you're telling yourself to slow down, the other party is saying, no, I need to go.
Go, 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 go. Yeah.
So far, I'm a big fan of her approach here. Just very, very aggressive.
Sure.
Hasn't backed off at all. She's got one more jump left. I suspect she'll still be aggressive here on jump number 3, and just going to be looking to make that small body position adjustment, see if she can get the lift.
She's in the final. What can she do here on third and final? Can she get herself higher up the seating? Emma Brunel of France just lets that one go. And 42.5 will remain her biggest.
So obviously a little bit disappointed there. She would have wanted to put a jump a little bit farther going into the finals for a little bit more confidence, but 42.5 going to be enough. She'll get a chance to jump again, and despite not being what she wanted, as we spoke to Jarrett Llewellyn early on in this event as an overall skier, that was sort of his goal, was just to earn the right to ski again so you can improve on your score, and I believe she's done that. Well, on the theme of jumping, we're hearing some rumblings down
From the beer garden.
From the beer garden, some very exciting news. We are hearing
gallery.
from somewhere in the world, Taylor Garcia, 230-foot jump. So from the young talent from the U.S., not sure what event they're at right now, but a big shout out to Taylor. That is a massive jump. Congratulations. But right now on the water, Valentina Gonzalez of Chile. And I do imagine she's one of the medal contenders in this event. Really a great jump skier, super powerful athlete from Chile. Really sort of taking on that the Chilean heritage of good jumpers with Toti Miranda, Felipe Miranda, Santiago Varas down on shore. A really strong group of young Chilean skiers, and Valentina coming on very strong in the last few years. And you really see when you see her, she's really a built jumper. Yeah. If I was to build someone similar to, when you meet a Jacinta Carroll, when you meet them, and they're just a very, very strong, very powerful athlete, and that's what it takes to boot out big jumps.
Yeah, unofficial rumor coming from the beer garden is that for the next few minutes it's going to be Steve Garcia's shout. So I would head to the beer garden immediately.
How many more jumpers we have?
Yeah, that's right. Valentina Gonzalez. Again, I think the best jumping name on site. Just sounds like she's going fast out there, and she is a big ball of muscle. And a late approach to open, characteristic of her. good deal of speed, and she comes off it pretty well, and I think we might have a new leader.
Absolutely. You can really see there that aggressive approach she takes. She lands on that second side, all of her weight just on that right leg, and full commitment through the ramp. And so difficult to do when you have that big red ramp in front of you to cut literally as hard as you can to try and bake that ramp at the bottom of the ramp. 45.5 meters, so not quite enough.
Well, no, it is enough.
Absolutely enough. I apologize, to take the lead.
Yeah.
45.5 meters, our new leader.
So here's a fun little trivia question. There's a lot of answers, but how many people have jumped 230 feet? Can you go through them all? There's about 10 or 11. There's a few on site. Of course, we're hearing unofficial rumors that Taylor Garcia is the latest to join that exclusive club.
Yeah, and we just talked about that club today and how sort of each discipline has that elusive club. And yeah, congratulations to Taylor for accomplishing that. Not really surprised,
No.
to be honest. I know he's been knocking on the door some really big jumps lately, and I don't think he's going to stop there. I think we're going to see him, 230, 240, and challenging Ryan Dodd in the near future. But right now on the water, Valentina Gonzalez, jump number 2.
Wow.
I think that was even bigger.
Well, she's not backed it up. If anything, she brought it down, and she came off it fantastically. And I agree. I think it might just be a smidgen further there on jump number 2.
You see that aggressive style, just that full commitment off that second side, and you can see how strong she is able to load the boat. 47.3 meter jump for Valentina Gonzalez.
So here's a fun piece of trivia for you, Stephen. And I'm pretty sure this is true, unless there's something from about 60, 70 years ago that I'm not aware of. But to my knowledge, there's only 4 countries ever held the world jump record in the men's. What are the 4 countries?
Well, there's Canada,
Sure.
the United States,
Sure.
and Great Britain.
Sure.
It's got to be Australia.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to play you in Waterski Trivial Pursuit.
No. Well, I pride myself on my Waterski trivia. Third and final now, Valentina Gonzalez. Can she sneak just a few more inches of this jump ramp? She's flown right down the lake. It's another good one. I'm not sure it's going to be any further, though.
Doesn't quite look as far as jump number 2, but a great set from her. Really aggressive and attacking the whole time. You kind of saw off the ramp there, her left ski kind of raised up in the air, not able to get as much lift as she did on the jump before. And with that 37-meter jump right on the door of her PB, it says here 48 meters is her personal best. So a great set from her. And as we talked about, a contender in the overall race. And,
definitely.
With that unfortunate fall that we saw from Canada's Paige Rini, and now that great jumping and great skiing so far from Valentina Gonzalez, she set herself up very, very well to be one of the challengers for the podium in the overall competition.
And of course, didn't slalom or trick very well, to be fair to it, but she has the advantage that she made the finals just in both those events, so she has a lot of room for improvement throughout this tournament.
Yeah, and to make it through to all 3 finals as well as an overall skier is a goal and an achievement all on its own. So for her to qualify and to earn the right to ski a second time in all 3 events is congratulations to her.
We move from Chile now to Switzerland. And it's Medina, Georgia. And unlike her twin sister Ria, I believe she still lives and trains in Switzerland. Wow. That is quite the picture.
So I just got texted a picture from Chuck Kraus of the radar right now for the weather in this area, and there is literal rain in a 360-degree loop around this lake, and the only spot with no rain is Devon.
Yeah. Shalom Dome.
So I've often speculated that Ken Nelson can control the weather, but I really think he can control the weather. There is a literal hole in this weather system that's holding right above us right now, and conditions just have continued to be absolutely perfect. As we see, we can kind of see those dark clouds all the way around us, but up top looking pretty clear. And
jump number 1 here for Medina, Georgia of Switzerland, and it's a tidy one to open. It's going to be in the mid to high 30 meters. It's not going to be quite enough to sneak through that final. Of course, 39.8. The score she has to beat.
She lists a personal best here, 40.2 meters. So she's going to need all of that here to solidify one of those spots in the final round.
Yeah, and a certain possibility. I think conditions are fantastic. It's a great opportunity to get a good score. And of course, Shalom Park, known as the home of the PB. And so we'd love to see one today from Medina.
So I'm getting word that Taylor Garcia's jump did go down at Bull Neck Lake in Arkansas.
Oh.
So tournament going
Well,
down right there.
Fantastic site.
Awesome site. Greenwoods do such a great job down there, and such a welcoming place, and could also be called the home of the personal best.
Perhaps,
at least in the jump event.
Had a lot of fun at that site, the one time I went there. Jump number 2 here for Medina, Georgia of Switzerland. It's another good one. And similar hole, perhaps a fraction further, but still I don't think quite far enough to get her through to that final.
No, and as we look on the replay there, you can see her chest just dropping a little bit on the ramp, not quite having her posture strong, so she hit the ramp. That increased angle of the 1.65 meter ramp did crush her forward slightly, not able to get all of her lift. So as we look here on the replay, she drove in nicely. You can see her just letting off as she comes into the ramp. The spray off her skis just getting smaller as she hits the ramp, and that letting off sort of had her hit the ramp a little bit abruptly, causing her chest to drop. So if she adjusts that 34.3 meters, she keeps that chest up and she can get more lift. We're going to see right around that 40-meter mark. As you look at the webcast there, what a great shot as the boat goes down the lake. Very artistic, who's ever on the camera. Shout out to all of our volunteers who do make this webcast happen. All the people behind the cameras are volunteers. We're just pulling off the beach. Poor people who came here just to try and enjoy the event and watch skiing, and instead they're up here helping us out. So a huge thank you to all the volunteers who are helping this this webcast happen, as well as all the volunteers behind the scenes who make the tournament run.
It's great to see a lot of local folks on the camera. Of course, the people in the kitchen as well, making our lunches. But we've even had some people from far afield volunteering to help out with the cameras, which is great to see. Medina now, third and final jump. She's got to go just a few meters further. She's going to make that final. It's a better lift off the top. I'm not quite sure she has much speed, though, as jump number 1. It's going to be, again, a similar hole. And I have a feeling that may have just put Kennedy Hansen into that jump final.
I think so as well. Not quite going to be enough to challenge Kennedy at that 39.8 meter mark, but 38.9 meters, so closer than I would have thought there. So a great jump from her, but it does mean that Kennedy does move on. Just sitting 1/10 behind her right now.
Alejandra Diosma.
Absolutely. So we go from Switzerland to Austria, and Alyssa Lexer will be next.
Just over the border.
Going to have her sight on that 39.7 meter jump of Alejandra de Osma. So at the conclusion of the jump event, our officials are asking that all team captains come up to the judges' tower. So all team captains immediately at the conclusion of the jump event, please come up to the judges' tower.
You're not in trouble or anything.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, so the Austrian Alyssa Lexer on the water, and 39.7 the score to beat right now. And I'm sure Gerald Llewellyn, the Austrian team coach, will be down there flapping his arms around as she's out there and trying to make the final with her 3 attempts.
So coming into this event, personal best 44.2 meters. So more than capable of taking one of those final spots. Right now the mark to beat. Right around that 40-meter mark, 39.7 meters. So as we look for that scoreboard, if the first number that comes up is a 4, she's through to the final. Oh, great shot now. Great Canadian coach of the Austrian team here, Gerald Llewellyn.
Yeah, I got to make a quick redaction to my trivia. I said that he won overall at 1986 Junior World Champs. He actually didn't win overall, he won tricks. So I got to go back to the drawing board there on my trivia. Jump number 1 here for Alyssa Lexer of Austria. And this is a late cut. She's got plenty of speed, only just scraped on. And didn't get fantastic carry, but it's a good jump, but it might be just enough.
Well, you got to applaud her aggressive approach there on jump number 1. Coming just inches from the corner of that ramp.
There you go.
42.1 meters, jump number 1. So that's what we said. If that first number was a 4, she's through to the final. So she came out super aggressive and already 42 meters and left quite a bit on the table. I think she can turn from that spot, but needs to allow her skis to get around a little bit more so she can hold that angle all the way through the ramp. I think she didn't quite get her skis around, and when that happens, you don't have the angle. So when you land on the second side and try and dig, we talked about that top left corner, you sort of get pulled in towards that right-hand corner, and that's kind of what happened a little bit there. So she's looking at Gerald Llewellyn, telling her to get a little bit wider, carry a bit more speed, and you can see that sign of telling her to let her skis come around. So if she can get those skis around, or you could tell me I'm wrong when he comes up here and just tell me I don't know what I'm talking
Who
about.
knows, yeah.
But a great aggressive approach and already pushed herself through to the finals. Shout out to the lone man, still in Louisiana,
Still
Brody
there?
Newton. Still there, still tuned in. I think he's guarding everybody's stuff.
That's right. Someone's going to look after the crawfish. Alyssa Lexer, what can she do for us here on a second attempt? Plenty of speed once again, just slips back though, and of course, whenever you see them release the handle there right off the top of the ramp, they use a lot of distance. You know, typically the big jumps, you get pulled right off the top of the ramp, right through the air, and that increases your speed as you're going up in height. And by slipping back there and taking that left hand off, she lost a lot of distance. And you see it knocked back to 37.8 meters.
Absolutely. And normally what's happening is when you let go of the ramp, you're throwing the brakes on. Things are going wrong. You're getting pulled out of position, so you're taking that hand off the handle. You're throwing on the brakes to try and keep your skis underneath you. So generally at that point, if things are going wrong on the ramp, your last concern is your distance, and you're most concerned with making sure you land upright on your skis. But already through to the finals. One more jump left. Alyssa Lexer. 6 more jumpers left on the dock. This is Women's Series 1 preliminary round. Top 12 make it to the finals. Current leader Valentina Gonzalez, 47.3 meters, and sitting on the bubble. right now, Alejandra de Osma, 39.7 meters.
Yep, last roll of dice here for Alyssa Lexer of Austria, and she's in the final, but she'd like to go just a wee bit further and get herself higher up the seating. Another good approach, plenty of speed. She comes off this one better. It's going to be right up around that 42.1 she had on opener.
Yeah, so you could see she backed it off a little bit there, didn't quite have the aggressive approach she had on jump 1 and 2, but was able to get her skis underneath her, 41.1 meters. So it will be jump number 1 is her farthest of the set. And for a lot of these jumpers as well, once you've made the finals, your second 2 jumps are sort of starting to practice for the final round. Getting an idea, you know you've made the finals, maybe taking a look at the ramp from an angle you might want to look at it in finals, kind of getting your lay of the land. There's lots you can do there. So once you've made the finals, really your job is done, and you're just preparing yourself for that medal round. Only exception there being some of our overall skiers who we know are going to try and put a score out there in each round to take that pressure off.
Yeah, that's an important point. There is an overall battle going on here, and Anna Gay, you would think, on the basis of some strong slalom and jump performances, which are a week or 2 events, and of course a sensational trick performance, is the favourite in that. But there are a bunch of girls nipping on her heels, and they will look to improve throughout the tournament.
So we will know where we're sitting going into finals after this jump event in the overall. So we do just need waiting on a few scores from some of these girls just to see where we end up in that overall standings. But I'll be curious to see after this round where everybody shakes out.
Okay, we move now back to France and young Mary-Lou Molinier. And this is where you got to come in and help me with my French pronunciation. There's probably a much more sophisticated way to say that.
Molinier.
Oh, Molinier. You never guess where she does most of her skiing these days.
Could it be in the great state of Louisiana?
Perhaps.
I'm getting good at this trivia game.
I know, you're killing it.
Coming into the event, personal best, 44.3 meters. So again, you're going to see from most of these girls here in Series 1, they do have the ability to make that jump final. So anything over 40 meters is going to do it. Watching eagerly on. See if she's done enough to make the finals. Alejandra de Osma, just shy of that 40-meter mark. And, you know, we're looking at that cut being 40 meters. And, you know, with the exception of the women's trick so far, we're doing pretty well on our cut guesstimations.
Yeah, look, that just knocked down a touch with a few upsets, I'd say. Like, there were probably more upsets than anyone could have predicted. But so far, we've knocked the nail on the head in most finals. Mary-Lou, jump number 1. She's got plenty of speed. She's late enough. And she gets some shaky lift. Woo!
Wow, so you could see she got all that tip pressure, and as she went to move over them, the skis sort of dropped and you could see her back off. So definitely lost some distance there. She had the speed, she had the lift, got into the air, but there's this third crucial part of skiing where you're trying to get into a flying position and milk all that distance out there. So 43.6 meters, she's through to the finals, but she gave up a lot of distance there. You could see as soon as those skis sort of gave that little bit of a wag, she lost all that flight and touched down right on the water. So going to be looking to make a few adjustments here, looking to the French coach on shore. You know, for all intents and purposes, was a great jump. In my opinion, she just moved over skis a little bit quick in the air and came off that handle with one hand a little soon. But really a great approach, just a very small change that's going to be needed for her here to challenge Valentina Gonzalez for the lead.
Yeah, so there's a movie I'm quite fond of. It's called Eddie the Eagle. It's a story of course, the great British snow ski jumper, or he was great for Britain, he wasn't so great for the rest of the world, who attended those 98 Winter Olympics in Calgary. And my younger brother, who's a young man, he's just 14 years of age, but he's a huge jumper. And he credits most of his jumping success to one summer watching Eddie the Eagle every night. And he watched a lot of the footage there, and he started pressing out right on the front of his skis. And I wonder perhaps if Mary-Lou has been studying that Hollywood movie a little too much as well.
Yeah.
some frustration in that jump.
And you can see a little bit more of an aggressive approach. She didn't really need to after jump number 1, but she did bring it down a little bit, and I feel like she came into the ramp with even more speed, and I think that's where that frustration came from, is she knew she'd worked so hard to get all that speed at the bottom of the ramp and didn't get the payoff of all the lift. Still 44.9 meters, which by our mark here on her personal best is a new personal best by almost half a meter, so congratulations to her. But you could see that frustration. She knew that was going to be even farther if she got all that lift. So one more jump left to make the adjustments, but we could be looking at a several meter PB here
for sure.
if she's able to put one together.
Going much further. And that's what I think is so funny about the jump event and the slalom event, is that you're never really happy. You know, like you hear a frustration come off the ramp because you knew it could have been so much better, and still it's a personal best. And that's where I think I really love trick skiing. You know, those fist throws we had at the end from the skiers who, you know, they went out there, they had a run they were doing, they stood it up, they did the best they could, and there's nothing you can do except be happy. Whereas in jump, you always just feel like, you know, man, if I had just done this little thing different, there was an extra half a meter there.
So third and final jump. Let's see, does she bring it down on the 600-foot timing buoy right around the same place she was on jump number 2, so she hasn't backed off at all. Still a very aggressive approach here. Personal best already in the bag. What can she do? She's got the speed. Just getting a little bit forward on the ramp, but I think that was even a little bit farther. Be right around the same, maybe a touch farther. Still getting a little bit forward on the ramp, but that was definitely her most solid of the 3. Still a little bit of a frustration coming off, 44.6 meters. So not quite as far.
Yeah, good effort though. She slipped in a second. I'm just hearing unofficial rumors from the people down at the beer garden. They're going to do a happy hour anytime a Canadian is leading an event, you know, going into the finals. And I think that would be a good policy. Of course, in 2 skiers, we've got Dominique Grandin-Allard and, of course, Paige Rennie rounding it out. And I think anytime a Canadian's leading an event, we could run a little happy hour down there in the beer garden.
I like it.
Yeah.
And you just said it, so now it's happening.
It's happening, yeah. To me, it seems like home soil. And when that happens, and unfortunately, Canada is quite good, so it's probably going to happen quite often. But as a way to boost sales and get some more interest going, I think we could run a little happy hour.
Yeah, Jamie Bull might cost the event a bit of money.
Well, no, she's last off the dock, so there's no. See what I mean?
I do see what you mean.
Yeah.
We needed this earlier. We could have set a sandbagger.
Yeah, exactly. So Jamie Bull's not going to cost us any money because worst case scenario, it's the 5 minutes she's out there.
Maybe the likes of Thomas Dagg.
He's right. He's the dark horse. He'll be first off the dock in the slalom. So we're guaranteed to have a Canadian leading, I guess, in the men's slalom, at least for one skier.
And on the water, representing Great Britain, Sancha Outram.
Who, again, I've been disappointed in the lack of bar sales going to Great Britain. It's really poor form for Great Britain. Typically, they're frequenters.
Shout out to Rob Hazelwood down there showing some team spirit, trying to rally the troops. You guys started off strong yesterday, but your posse seems to have shrunk, man. Oh, another flag over there. We got 2.
The Union Jack flying strongly here. And I got to say, I have some respect for Canada, which I think way back in the 1950s had the bravery to do something New Zealand had a referendum on and couldn't quite do, and was take the Union Jack off our flag and replace it with something a little more, close to home. We voted on that recently to try to get the silver fern on our flag, and in the end, we stuck with the Union Jack. Oh, just slips back there on jump number 1 to Sancha, and it's a good jump. It's mid to high 30s, but she can get a hold of one like that, she's going to go much further.
Yeah, for sure. Just sitting back a little bit on the ramp, not really an aggressive kick, and it was jump number 1, so often they're just kind of get out there, get their legs underneath them, and really try and pop off big jumps in jump number 2 and 3. So 35.8 meters on jump number 1 for Sancha Outram.
enjoy watching the spotting from land, and the fact that as water skiers, have developed this whole different language of sign language that applies only in this context and only a water ski jumper would understand. There's all these sort of hand signals and body motions and pelvic thrusting that only really makes sense in a water skiing context.
Yeah, so far though, all the jumpers going for it. I haven't seen a particular symbol you see sometimes on shore shown to anybody yet.
No.
So that's just a testament to these ladies and how aggressive they've been. I have a feeling somebody might throw that out in the men's competition.
It might be me.
But Sancha Outram, jump number 2, 35.8 on jump 1.
Still back. Unfortunately, it's a better jump. It's further. It's going to be right up around the cut. But you can't help but feel she's got a lot left there in the tank.
Yeah, as I see her cut into the ramp there, she's sort of back as she's coming into the ramp. You can see her cutting on her heels a little bit, and as she comes into the ramp, those skis are slipping out from underneath her, not getting that traction, which really allows her to get up and over them and launch herself up into the air. So still 38.5 meters, so she's right around that cut. She just needs to get herself a little bit more forward. Looking to Rob Hazelwood, telling her to bring it down a little bit. Rob's telling her, relax her arms, get your hips forward up over the ski, so all of that speed you have is going to translate into some height. So again, one of the favorites in the men jump competition down, coaching some of our female athletes. I think he wanted her to explode there at the end.
Yeah, I think that's what that means. Killing me, man. Come on, Garrett. Give us a hand. You're 18, aren't you? We're in Alberta, mate. Sancha Outram, third and final. I really feel there's a 40-meter jump here. It's just a matter of time. Can she get it on third and final? She had great cuts. Looks better this time. It's going to be close.
That is going to be close.
It's going to be very close.
Yeah, from my vantage point, not quite sure it's going to start with a 4, but it's going to be a 3.9 in the uppers.
Yeah.
Right around that cut. 38.6.
Unfortunately, that it not only does it not put her in the final, but it puts her 2 spots out, because that means Alejandra de Osma will advance through with her 39.7, and the new cut will be Medina Georgia with a 38.9, which is just 30 centimeters ahead of that score from Sancha Outram. Okay, well, we move to Canada now, and our first chance for a happy hour in the beer garden.
And a good chance for...
Good chance, you'd have to think. Probably the favourite in this event.
Absolutely. One of the favorites in this event. This young lady loves to jump. First time, a great story I have of Dominique is she showed up at a lake for a tournament, and I was in the boat, and I think she was about 7 years old, and she showed up, big helmet, little skis, and she said, 2 feet wide, please. I said, are you sure you'd like the boat 2 feet wide? Yes, please. And sure enough, she did a single weight cut, and this girl started cutting as hard as she could. Went up the side curtain, did a 180 and landed. And I rushed her. Are you okay? I'm fine. And just awesome. Absolutely loves to jump. Super aggressive style, and really just such a fun person. Really come on strong. Junior world champion, junior masters champion, Canadian record holder. Not many titles she doesn't hold. But I'm not sure the under-21 jump title is one that she's claimed yet.
No, it's not, and she'd really like to have that. Fantastic skier. Unfortunately, has a terrible taste of music. I saw some of the text she was sending through today on the requests over the radio, and I guess you can't be great at everything.
No, yeah, everyone's got their weak points.
Yeah.
But Dominique does most of her skiing down at Jack Travers with John, Jack, Natalia Berdnikova.
Yeah, I think Natalia has really taken her under her wing as sort of a young protege, and they spend a lot of time together. They probably have similar styles, similar techniques, and it's really great to see that the torch being passed on to a younger generation.
Yeah, and as a young skier, as a young woman, I can't think of somebody better to have to be taken under the wing of and to learn from somebody as accomplished and talented as Natalia. And she's really able to she's done just great things here with Dodo, and here she is, jump number 1. You can see she's a little bit early on this one, but still able to float her way down the lake, and that's going to be right around the lead on jump number 1. A little bit conservative for what I'm used to seeing from Dodo. She was probably a little bit early, so I'm sure if Natty was down on shore, she'd be telling her to bring it down, but they've worked together for so long. Natty doesn't even need to be here. I'm sure Dodo knows right after the jump exactly what Natty would have said.
No, yeah, I'm sure they'll be telling her. Cole Grant there on shore will be giving her the pointers, and Cut Later will certainly be part of it. Well, I'm just getting word through from my resident statistician that he believes she actually did win the Under-21 World Champs in the Ukraine.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, so my memory doesn't serve me well from that tournament. I was there, but I don't recall an awful lot.
I have heard legends.
Wow.
Of your trip to Ukraine.
I don't know about legends, but yeah. The locals certainly like me. 44.5 meters to open.
All right. Apparently we're doing last call for the beer gardens.
Last call?
I'm getting a text. It is last call for the beer gardens.
Did they run out of beer or something?
I think if you're down in the beer gardens, you might want to have a chat with whoever down there. But
yeah,
they are telling me to call for last call.
They're scared of
don't say I didn't warn you. But right now, Dominique Allard cutting into the ramp off the top. Right around the same.
That was later, but she didn't quite get the legs.
Yeah, right around that same distance. So as I watch on the replay here, she was a little bit slow in that turn, 42.6 meters, so not carrying the speed she wanted in the turn, and a little bit more aggressive into the bottom of the ramp, but not the distance we're used to seeing from Dodo, sort of slipping out the back there when she hit the ramp. So looking to Cole Grant for those last little pieces of advice, telling her to bring it down the lake a little bit, obviously, no surprise. Cool. You can see that sign language back and forth of Dodo sort of asking questions to Cole, Cole responding, all nonverbal. As much as it looks like a bunch of hand waving down there, there are really important things that are communicated there, and Dominique's going to go make those adjustments. And you know, she really is a competitor, and she's won so many titles, and she's just one of those people who always seems to get it done. And she's made her way through to the finals already, but I know she wants to go out last.
Yeah, she'd like to be top seed dearly. And, you know, based off personal best, I think she is the best jumper in this field. Certainly capable of it, but she has to get together on jump number 3.
Yeah, so under 21 world champion in jump, under 21 world champion in jump, 2-time Masters jump champion, looking to become a 2-time U21 world champion.
That's a big achievement. I'm not sure many people have ever done back-to-back in jump on 21s.
Dominique Allard, jump number 3. She's got the speed. Can she get the lift? Yes, she can. And it's a much better jump on jump number 3.
It's right up there around the lead. I think it's going to be right up around 47 meters, which is what she needs to sneak in front of our current leader.
Eyes on
Valentina
the scoreboard.
Gonzalez, it's not quite enough.
46.5 meters.
Will retain the lead.
And again, very big in that overall contest.
Sure.
So Valentina, you know, we know she didn't get the trick and jump score, or the trick and slalom score rather, that she wanted. She does have a chance to improve on those scores, but launching that jump out there and grabbing that 1,000 points right now in the overall, it's going to be really interesting to see where these ladies shake out once the results are posted.
It's interesting too, like you look at a Dominique and she has the power, probably not to make the podium in overall, but she can still change it a lot because if she jumps to her capability, she has the ability to squash, jump down a lot, make it less significant of an event. Yeah,
and right there with Dominique not sort of getting that characteristic distance over 50 meters, it does impact the overall for sure. You know, Valentina coming into this event probably not necessarily automatically assuming she's going to be the one who takes home those 1,000 overall points. And right now with Neely and Anna achieving such high trick scores, or more importantly, Anna achieving such a high trick score, and now the jump score not pushed quite as high, it does sort of change the dynamic in the jump, and it actually probably is helping Anna Gay.
For sure. It's interesting for those people on site who care about how it's calculated. The way overall works at these things is that of the skiers who are competing in all 3 events, the top score in each event becomes 1,000 points. And each score below that is a sort of percentage value out of 1,000 points. And so, for instance, in tricks is an easy one. If someone tricks 10,000 points, they get 1,000 points, because that's the top score. And if someone tricks 8,000 points, that's 800 points, because that's 80% of the top score. And the same sort of thing applies in jump and slalom. The calculations become a little more complicated, because in slalom you have to pick a countback speed, and it's like that. And in jump we tend to minus some distance off. It's about 15 meters for women and a little further for men. But it's all sort of a scoring-based system, and it's your relative score versus the top score.
And thank goodness we have computers to do all that calculating. So we.
Well, I tell you what, I used to do it with pen and paper. That's how I learned to do math as a young man, or a child. And I'd say that was my peak in math. It's all been downhill since 12 years old.
Right now on the water, Stanislava Prospatova from the Ukraine, looking to bide her spot into the finals. Great jump number 1.
It's going to be close there.
Right around that distance. So we're looking at Medina, Georgia, 38.9 meters. So eyes on that scoreboard, 40.1. So there you go. She's through. Easy as that. So it really does take the pressure off. And now, like we said, she sort of can use these last 2 jumps to practice a little bit for the final round and to get herself prepared to boot that big jump in the finals. But already through 40.1 meters. Stanislava Prospatova. Again, going to help her overall score. She is one of the athletes here competing in all 3 events. All right, here she comes. Already got her spot in the finals. Stanislava Prospatova of the Ukraine, jump number 2. Jumping right now for seeding in the finals, as well as getting her timing and jumping figured out. And a little bit not too excited on the landing there. Looked like a good jump, probably farther than jump number 1. But anytime you see a jumper kind of stick the landing like that, generally they've left some distance on the table. So 42 meters. So she does improve. That does put her just ahead of Anna Gay at 41.5 meters and just below Alyssa Lexer. Right now, our leader, Valentina Gonzalez, 47.3 meters. We just saw Canada's Dominique Allard, 46.5 meters. Mary Lou Molinier, 44.9 meters. Emma Brunel, 42.5 meters. Sadie Ferguson, 42.3 meters. Alyssa Lexer, 42.1 meters. Anna Gay, 41.5 meters. Kennedy Hansen, 39.8 meters. Alejandra de Osma, 39.7 meters. And currently sitting on the bubble, Medina, Georgia, 38.9 meters.
Yep, and only a couple skiers left, and you would think both of them have the ability to get past that. My suspicion is it's going to come down to a tense battle between the twin sisters right at the end, which could be an absolute blockbuster. Luckily for the bar, so far we've yet to have a Canadian in the lead, so no happy hour yet, but hopefully Paige Rini can have that extinction in just a few moments. This now is the third and final for Stanislava Prospatova from the Ukraine, and a great deal of speed. Tell you what, it's a good jump. She got right over the front of skis, but I think perhaps just a little bit of an upper body crush through the ramp.
Yeah, just a little eager to get out over those skis, kind of moving forward a little bit early and losing some of that height. It's really all about timing. Freddie Krueger, in my opinion, the best one to do it. And you see Freddie just move so straight over his skis, and he's almost straight up and down all the way to his peak. And it's not till he comes over the top that he starts leaning forward and really lets those skis climb up on top of the air before he gets over top of them. And Stanislava just a little bit impatient there, moving over his skis a little early. 41 meters. On jump number 3.
So, our penultimate competitor of the day will be the Canadian Paige Reaney, who, coming into this event, was a good chance in the overall, had a bit of an upset this morning in the tricks, and so she's looking more at the individual side of things now, and of course trying to get a valuable team score for Canada. She's an outside chance in the slalom, and of course a very handy jumper as well. So I have to ask Stephen, as a Canadian, born and bred, and you live up here, have we come up with the slang term yet for the Canadians that ski for Canada, and I'm sure they're loyal Canadians, but have never lived here and probably done very little skiing here? There must be some sort of word you use to describe them.
I don't know if we can repeat that. No, I'm just kidding. It's been awesome to see these new Canadian, these second-generation skiers, Neely Ross, Paige Reaney,
Cole
McCormick,
sure.
and some of those legendary names coming around, and taking that added benefit, basically of their parents moved to Florida from Canada to train all year round, and these kids getting that same benefit as well. And the Canadian junior program just so strong, and the future is bright for Canada.
No, I actually. Personally, I'm a big fan of that kind of native country loyalty. I mean, I look at Kyle Ead, who's on site. He's coaching the New Zealand team, and he's got 2 young boys, about 10, 11 years age, and they have recently both broken and actually tied for the same New Zealand record. So opting at a young age, they want to be, we live in America, we do all of our skiing in America, but at heart, we feel like New Zealanders want to ski for New Zealand. It's the same kind of thing, and I really respect that kind of attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just even talking with these kids and growing up and living in Florida, they really have embraced it and embraced that Canadian spirit, and all of them are very proud to wear the maple leaf and to represent Canada.
A tidy opening jump there from Paige. It's going to be close to being enough to make it through. It's going to be right up around that high 30s.
Yeah, you can see her skis splitting a little bit there. Paige kind of a little disappointed on the landing, but she's got 2 more jumps left. First jump normally just a warm-up jump. 40.9 meters, so it is enough. Paige is through. Not going to be happy with that, though. She's going to look to Cole Grant on shore, make some adjustments. So taking some advice from Coach Cole Grant. Obviously also skis with her father, Matt Reaney.
Yeah, I guess he had to stay behind and work. Couldn't make the trek up, had to keep the ski school running down there in Florida.
And Cole's just really been a really neat addition to Matt's ski school, and Cole, a student of Matt's growing up and graduating from college, sort of moved back with Matt, and they've become this really sort of dynamic duo who play off of each other, and the talent that they've been able to produce, the likes of Conley Panette, Joe Poland, Paige. It's been really impressive to see some of the scores out there, and some of the other skiers, Sadie Ferguson, we said training with them prior to this event as well. So really a dynamic duo. It's awesome to see the two play off each other, and it's neat to see that coach and student relationship sort of evolve into a coach and coach relationship.
Sure. Jump number 2 now, Paige Reaney, and I think it's a slightly better one. Should get her up into 40 meters a little bit further.
Yeah, and a much more characteristic jump of Paige, really in a great position into the bottom of the ramp, and you could see that all that energy she transferred up into the air really led to some distance. So as we check out on the webcast the replay here, you can see she carried a bit more speed into the turn on this one, which just allowed her skis to come around that little bit more, and you can see her driving right through the ramp and getting all that lift, and 41.3 meters.
Yeah, I think what might have happened there is that it was a better turn. She carried a lot of speed, and actually, even though it was a similar spot, ended up the ramp a little earlier. And so if she's gonna, have that kind of body position and carry that kind of speed through turn, she just needs to be a little bit further down the lake.
And that can happen sometimes. It's sometimes the importance of making sure you go out there and you cut late enough on jump number 1. Sometimes if you're a little early on jump number 1, the adjustments become a little bit harder from there. So oftentimes, you're a little early on jump 1. Jump number 2, you try and bring it down. You carry more speed through the turn. You have a better turn, and you still end up too early. So I think that's what happened to Paige there. Going to look to bring it down the lake, have a very similar turn and similar approach, and sort of encroach into that upper 40 range where she's looking to be.
Sure. Third and final now for the young Canadian, of course, attending university at Florida Southern College down in Central Florida. And this is another good approach. She's got plenty of speed. Can she get her legs? She does, and at similar hole, perhaps a fraction further.
Yeah, right around that same distance, maybe a little bit further. I think you're right on that. And, very consistent jumping from Paige. 3 very solid jumps. 42.4, so it is her farthest of the set. It's good enough to make it onto the finals and does move her sort of solidly between Sadie Ferguson and Emma Brunel.
Yep. So, as the older joke goes among the officials, our favourite skier of the day. And it's going to be a good little battle here because it's going to be twin sister v twin sister. One of them will make the final, one of them will not. Medina, Georgia with 38.9 and her twin sister Ria, that is the score she has to beat. It's like being in a baseball game. We've got all sorts of different crowd promotional camera angles going on here.
We'll see what those are developed to as the weekend goes on.
Always fun, the Under-21 World Waterski Championships. One skier left on the dock to run at a fantastic day of skiing. It will be from Switzerland, Ria, Georgia. And this is fun. I've often looked back and thought I'm very glad I'm not a twin, because there'd be a fierce rivalry, and I'm pretty confident I would be the worst twin. Of course, we said 3 sets of twins at these World Champs, perhaps a record for the most twins at a World Championships. And we have a very, very, I think, fun battle going down here between Medina, Georgia, who's on the bobble with 38.9, and Ria, Georgia, who's on the water right now, trying to beat her twin sister and make it through to this jump final.
It's a Georgia battle.
It's a Georgia battle.
And what do you do if you're mum in this situation?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's a tough one. Who do you root for? What do you want?
I think you just head to the beer gardens.
Head straight to the beer garden. Unfortunately, no happy hour today. The Canadians could not get out in front. But I am hearing confirmation that's for sure going to happen throughout the rest of the tournament. Anytime a Canadian takes the lead, it will be a happy hour until the Canadian loses the top spot.
Right now, eyes on the water. Super interesting situation. Sister versus sister. Twin versus twin. Only one will move on. Will it be Rhea? Or will it be Medina? And that's going to be very close.
I think it might be Rhea.
Might be enough. Jump. Looking on the scoreboard for a score in excess of 38.9 meters. And I have a feeling 41.5. Yeah. So it is Rhea, Georgia, through to the final. She has 2 more jumps left. And as we said, going to be looking to kind of figure out her timing here for the final. But a bit bittersweet there, knocking her sister out of the final.
Tough one. I think it's telling we have so many twins at this tournament. I think there's an advantage to growing up with a built-in ski partner. In that way, you have someone to always push you along. We talked in the tricks about how valuable it's been for Anna and Neely to ski against one another. And I think a twin has that built-in ski partner, but also someone to push them along. You're always so competitive growing up, and I think there's an advantage there.
Big time. I think those rivalries are what's pushed the sport to the next limit. Jarrett Llewellyn and Freddie Krueger come to mind, of two guys who sort of battled it out for years, sort of on top of each other. And I think both of them pushed each other to new levels.
Sure.
So same built in, like you said, a twin sister or a twin brother, just inherently built in.
Yeah.
And we've also seen it actually with the Brits. So Joe Poland and Rob Hazelwood sort of on top of that overall
growing up
world
age,
and growing up, similar areas. Now pushing each other and competing. So jump number 2, Rhea, Georgia. I think that was even farther. Jump number 2. Can it be in that 43? Could it be in the 44-meter range?
That's a great jump. I'm just thinking about that. And
44.9 meters.
It's a fantastic jump. Slips her into third place, or equal for third place with Mary-Lou Molinaire of France. Just thinking about that, you mentioned the Brits. And for a ski site that isn't a ski school, so let's rule out the ski schools. They get a lot of international people. So you rule out your Jack Travers, your Corey Picos. Which ski site has produced the most world champions? And I would think that Hazelwood's in Lincoln, in England, perhaps would have that distinction.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Just
it's
going
just
back to
people
generations.
going, it's like their summer holiday, they camp at that lake and ski, and I think that lake would perhaps have the distinction of producing the most world champions for a ski site that isn't a ski school.
Yeah, it's great to see the names like Hazelwood come back into the sport as a young kid growing up and reading back through the history books and that name coming up over and over again, and getting the opportunity to see Rob at the under-17 Worlds and to see, oh wow, it's in the blood.
Yeah. So Rhea making herself known as a force to be reckoned with for jump finals come Sunday afternoon. The big dance, the finale of this tournament will be the jump finals. Can she go just a wee bit further to sneak herself further up this running order? Into the top 3 perhaps. Last roll of the dice here for the young lady from Switzerland. It's another good jump. Pushes right over the front of those skis. And potentially just a fraction further.
Yeah, it looks like that might be a little bit further in that 45, low 45 meter range, maybe 45.1.
That's right. This, of course, our last skier. And we would like to ask all the team captains to come up to the officials booth for a bit of a meeting here with the chief judge. So all team captains, please report for that meeting.
So just waiting on the score for that last jump, but that does conclude the skiing for today. .7 meters. So that does move her into third place.
Yeah, fantastic.
So great jumping from her last skier of the day, moving herself into third place. So just like to remind everybody that tomorrow, the morning of Champions Prayer will be held on Dockside from 9 a.m. to 9:15 on Sunday morning prior to the start of the first event. This prayer is open to everyone, so please feel free to join us in worship. Also remember to join World Water Skiers to get reminders about what's going on in water skiing. Remember to hashtag and tag WWS. Remember, shuttle back to the hotel will leave at the close of the event each day and is for athletes only. Tomorrow morning, the athlete van will be leaving the hotel 7 a.m. If you need a ride to the lake, be sure to be there. Start time on the water tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., starting with under 21 men's jump series 3. I'll see you all there. Have a great night. Stevie out.
Dominique Grandin-Allard. I am a 19 years old college student and a current member of Waterski Canada's national team. This summer, I'll be skiing with the rest of Team Canada at the U21 Worlds in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm super proud to represent Team Canada at Worlds. Come join us in Edmonton, Alberta, July 4 to 7, or online at shallumpark.com as we take on the podium at home.
Hey, my name is Neely Ross. I'm a 17-year-old high school student and current member of the Canadian National Waterski team. I'm a 2-event competitive water skier, and I'm the current world champion in women's tricks and current junior world champion in slalom and tricks. This summer, I'll be part of a 6-person team competing at the Under-21 World Waterski Championships in Edmonton, Alberta. Come join us in Edmonton, July 4th through 7th, and help Team Canada own the podium right here at home.
Hey guys, my name is Paige Rainey and I'm 19 years old. This summer, I'll be skiing with the rest of Team Canada at the Under-21 World Championships in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm super proud to represent Canada as we take on the world. Come join us in Edmonton, July 4th through 7th, and help Team Canada own the podium right here at home.
Hi, my name is Thomas Daigle. I'm 19 years old. This summer, I'll be competing with the rest of Team Canada at the Under-21 World Waterski Championships in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm very proud to represent Canada at Worlds. Come and join us in Edmonton from July 4th to 7th or online at shallumpark.com and help Canada get on the podium right here on home turf. Pour les francophones, rejoignez-nous à Ski Nautique Canada pour nous aider à remporter la médaille d'or.
My name is Jamie Bull. I'm a 19-year-old university student and current member of the Canadian national team. This summer, I'll be skiing for Team Canada at the Under-21 World Waterski Championships in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm super proud to be representing Canada as we take on the world. Come join us in Edmonton, Alberta on July 4th to 7th or online at shallumpark.com and help us own the podium right here at home.
Hi, my name is Thomas Daigle. I'm 19 years old. This summer, I'll be competing with the rest of Team Canada at the Under-21 World Waterski Championships in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm very proud to represent Canada at Worlds. Come and join us in Edmonton from July 4th to 7th and help Canada get on the podium right here on home turf.